in the country. Reverend Nompumelelo Ngubeni is speaking on behalf of the religious community.
We want to exempt pressure to the court to make sure that the case is fast-tracked. We need it to be done in speed, and every process that has to do with his arrest must be done quickly so that he may leave the country. He is no longer accepted by the people of this country. His ministry is no longer welcomed, so we want him to leave. We are here on behalf of our people, in support of our people.
And lastly, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the impending release of an Israeli-American hostage, Eden Alexander, announced by Hamas, will not lead to a ceasefire or the release of Palestinian prisoners. His offer said the release was possible because of the backing of U.S. President Donald Trump and IDF military pressure in the Gaza Strip. The BBC's Yolanda now.
Hamas has previously refused to free more captives without Israel first committing to a path to end the 19-month-long war, a condition that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly rejected. His office said Israel had not committed to a ceasefire, but only a safe corridor for the expected release of Eden Alexander. This development comes at a pivotal time. Israel is threatening a new major military offensive in Gaza and has stopped all aid from entering for more than 2 months, causing a deep humanitarian crisis.
For any news stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us at +27 11 714 459. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It is 7 minutes after 1 Central African time. Hello, 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 and welcome to a brand spanking new week of The Upside here on Channel Africa with me, Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. Hello, hello.
Hello, madam. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Fantastic. How was your weekend?
Yeah, all right. All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Was
How
it
was
fun?
yours?
Was it exciting?
It was all
right.
right.
Did you rest?
No.
Did you not do much? Sounds
No,
like you didn't do.
there was a lot to do.
What to do? Okay, we'll find out.
Saturday
all about
was
that.
extremely busy. Sunday was extreme. It was busy.
Oh yeah, you were an athlete this
Yeah.
past weekend. We'll find out all about it a bit
No,
later.
we won't. That's it. That's it with regards to my weekend. How was
We'll
yours?
find out more. It was a chilled weekend.
Yeah.
Actually, very relaxed. One of those weekends that very rare in my books where you're not doing
Wonderful.
much.
Wonderful.
But I needed it.
Yeah.
Also, I'm healing. Like there's a leg injury that I'm
Yeah.
nursing at the moment, but I rested. It was brilliant.
that's
Watching
really good.
movies, catching up on series. I needed this weekend.
Yeah,
I needed
that's
it.
really, really wonderful.
Yes, ma'am.
And we're not going to be resting today on the show, hey? We've got quite a bit going on.
Quite a bit. Midrand is
Yeah.
set to host a gathering of some of the most brightest minds in Africa. Midrand hosts a bold gathering to amplify African women in leadership. That's coming up this Saturday, isn't it? Can't wait to get into that conversation and find out more about it. And then we talk about debt or dream, the high stakes of home ownership for moms.
And moms are, women are leading the chart in terms of home ownership. I just don't know how many of them are moms. If it's single, upwardly mobile, career-driven and focused women.
Yes.
But we'll find out. I would imagine that as a mom, the stakes are even higher when you are owning a home.
Single moms, actually.
Yeah.
Particularly single moms. Yeah.
And we are launching a first today on the show.
Oh, you mean our side hustle diaries? This is an opportunity for us to get to know some of your favorite personalities, influential powers at be, those who you see on screen, behind the decks, behind the microphone. But did you know that outside of all of that you know, they have side hustles on the side. And these are the side hustles that we want to unpack and perhaps even be inspired by, because in this economy, we are realizing.
And that is a big thing for me, to find out whether these individuals are embarking on side hustles because of the money or love.
Or passion.
And because they have the time, and so why not? And they have the platform, so why not drive something else? We'll find out more about that. I don't know if I'm crazy about the side hustle culture.
You're not crazy about the side hustle
No,
culture.
I think we need to start moving to a place where we're promoting rest, balance. This whole notion of, while you were sleeping, I was busy hustling. No,
after
guys.
my 9 to 5.
All of it is important. Let's make provision for all of it. But all of that and more coming up on The Upside. Do engage with us. In fact, I'd love to hear from you what you do as a side hustle. +27634069126 at Channel Africa 1 on all social media platforms. In fact, check us out on social media. If on our live stream, it is at Channel Africa on YouTube and at Channel Africa 1 TikTok, Instagram, X. On Facebook, it's just at Channel Africa without the one. 11 minutes after 1 Central African time.
Annika Longi sur Channel Africa.
Nous étions en train de savourer la chanson Démocratie.
Démocratie.
Ça veut dire quoi?
Démocratie, déjà, ça dérive de démocratie, qui est le régime dans lequel nous sommes, dans notre pays. Mais j'ai plutôt pensé que nous sommes plutôt dans une démocratie.
Pourquoi?
Où il y a une cruauté tellement... une méchanceté des dirigeants envers la population. En fait, dans cette chanson, je suis en train de blâmer tout le monde. Je blâme et les dirigeants, qui pour moi sont des démocrates.
Oh, je suis maintenant en train de comprendre. Donc, démocratie. Oh!
Annika Longi, tous les dimanches sur Mix Vibration.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa.
Okay.
Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music@channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
Channel Africa, your voice, your sound, and your home. Stay locked right here.
Ang popa mutimo, ang power high moya, oh halalela, ang tomale lefatsheng lena ka morero le sepheo ka mohau a mpha batswadi ba lerato ke motlotlo ka bona ba mpontsha tsela ba ntataisa ba nsupisa mo nneteng ba re hona o tla fihla mo o yang teng ba re nna le nna ke tla fihla mo ke yang teng le nna ke tla fihla mo ke yang teng le nna ke lo fihla ke ne ke sa tsebe hore mona ke lefatsheng masisapelo a hlasela o sa lebella ke ne ke sa tsebe hore mona ke lebaleng la ntwa le hlolang fela ke leruma la moya ho fumana pholoso ke ho latela la hae lentswe le reng ke nna tsela le nnete le bophelo mefokolong ya ka o mpha matla mohau wa ntatela lefifing ke na kganya ere le nna ke tla fihla mo ke yang teng le nna ke lo fihla mo ke yang teng le nna ke lo fihla mo ke yang teng le nna ke lo fihla
Connecting Africa to the world. The Upside with Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. Bringing you Africa's brightest ideas and untold stories.
17 minutes after 1 Central African time, Kitlofihla by Malay. Kitlofihla means I too will arrive, or not too, but I will arrive. I'm hoping that you have arrived at the fact that The Upside is the only radio show you should be tuning into on a weekday, every single day, okay, between 1 and 4 p.m. Central African time on Channel Africa. So do let your loved ones know that this is where it's at. It is +27 63 406 9126. They can tune in on DSTV channel 802, OpenView channel 628, as well as stream us live at Channel Africa on YouTube, at Channel Africa X, Instagram, at Channel Africa Facebook. We're everywhere.
We are everywhere.
Absolutely everywhere.
I was trying to think of a place where we aren't.
No, there isn't.
We are worldwide. We are on streaming. We are on the DSTV, HD. Where are we not?
On all the places that don't matter.
We are everywhere.
on the places that don't matter.
In all honesty, we're everywhere. Let's get into our first conversation. It is 18 minutes past 1 p.m. Central African time. In a world where leadership still often wears a masculine face. Do you still believe that? Do you believe that?
Yeah.
When you think of leadership, it still wears a very
absolutely.
masculine face, doesn't it?
It's changing, but on
a
the
little
whole.
bit. Yeah. South African women are taking bold steps to change the narrative. The Work Pods Entrepreneur Village is set to host the Power of Visibility Masterclass, a hybrid gathering designed to elevate the presence, influence, and leadership of African women across industries on the 17th of May 2025 in Gauteng. Spearheaded by the Nonkosi Women's Network and led by visibility strategist. Did you know there was such a position?
No.
A visibility strategist.
Would that be like PR? I want to find out.
Let's find out. Pamela Klaba. The event features powerful sessions with branding icon Ngubeni Tebogo, keynote speaker Hugh Myers, and a high-impact panel moderated by Busisiwe Hlatshwayo. With South Africa now leading the world in gender-diverse leadership, yet the rest of Africa showing a worrying decline, this masterclass arrives at a critical moment. Pamela joins us on the line to tell us more about this masterclass. Pamela, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. Thank you. I really appreciate the opportunity and I'm looking forward to the discussion this afternoon. Thank you.
Well, we certainly are looking forward to that
Yeah,
conversation
hi.
and it will take place in a few seconds time. It's 20 minutes past 1 p.m. Central African time. We are in conversation with Pamela Klaba, who will be taking us through the Power of Visibility Masterclass, which will be taking place on the 17th of May in Gauteng, Johannesburg. Don't go anywhere.
Mornings made better with Peter and Asanda on Rise and Shine.
I want the Africa that makes every single African proud of the continent and have hope. And there's so much stuff that's going on that's positive. And if we can just lock into that, Nomaganjani, everyone is going to get there.
Where are we going? Where are we trying to get to?
The idea of working together, which is why I'm excited about this new voice.
And the new voice is me, Asanda Peta, broadcast journalist with about 15 years of experience on the radio space.
Welcome, Asanda. I've been waiting for you for a long time.
Were you waiting for me?
I was.
Really?
Yeah, because for 3 months I was on my own.
So be sure to tune in right here on Channel Africa Mondays to Fridays from 6 till 9 a.m. Central African time.
If you want to know about your continent, this is the best place to start your day.
Rise and Shine on Channel Africa. Your afternoons just got even better. Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
Well, Midrand is set to host a bold gathering to amplify African women in leadership. To tell us more about this masterclass, we are joined by Pamela. She is a visibility strategist. Pamela, thank you so much for your time. Let's start off with the conversation of visibility. The Saturday's masterclass is called The Power of Visibility. It's such a bold title, right? But what does true visibility mean in today's leadership landscape for the African woman?
Yeah, no, thank you so much. Thank you for having me again, Tebogo. I really appreciate this opportunity. So perhaps I think it would be great if I start with a bit of context in terms of, briefly who I am and what is my organization and why we came up with the Power of Visibility Masterclass. So I am Pamela Klaba. I've got over 22 years experience in human resources in various sectors of our economy in South Africa. And so 2 years ago, I decided to take a leap of faith and start my own HR consultancy agency called Nonkosi Creatives, where I offer various HR solutions. So I decided that, look, with my wide experience in this field, but the challenge that I experienced is that, it's one thing to be in corporate and you have a huge network in corporate. Once you are on your own, you really battle with visibility and how do you take your brand out there How do you connect with like-minded professionals? How do you reconnect with industries? How do you actually then, express your value and your value proposition to new markets where they really don't know who you are? Because once that corporate title is gone, you are now who you are. You are the brand of your own company. So then in terms of starting to talk to other entrepreneurs in this space, in various networks, it became very clear to me that I was not the only one who was struggling with visibility, who was struggling with articulating my brand proposition in terms of now being on my own as an entrepreneur. And I then started to tap into other networks, and we said, well, how about we collaborate? Because we find more often than not is that we're doing similar things in various sectors as entrepreneurs. But then how do we wear the hat of collaboration versus competition? Because I'm of the view that together we can achieve more when we collaborate versus competing.
Yeah.
So therefore, this masterclass is geared towards exactly that, how do we show up with presence? How do we, share each other in our journeys and share our learnings and share, our views, in a safe space? Because we find that most African women, they have amazing skills, amazing qualifications, and they're doing amazing things out there. But because some of them, they do not really have the confidence of showing up for themselves, they really struggle to get the clientele or access to markets that will make their businesses or their initiatives thrive. So I was not alone in this space, and hence we said, how do we then partner with executive coaches? How do we partner with people in PR and marketing to amplify the African woman's voice in the changing global landscape as we see it today? I hope that helps to set the tone and the context in terms of why visibility and why it's important for the African woman voice today.
So, Pamela, I think it is imperative what you are doing, because it is so true that, when one ventures outside of a fixed organization or a fixed role in an organization, they do find themselves lost, right? And without the connections and access that they used to have with informal employment. According to you, when does the process start for visibility? And it's a twofold question. I ask it because I'm also trying to gauge who the right person to attend the masterclass would be. Is it while you are still in the confines or in the warmth and comfort of formal employment, and you're still working your way up the ranks, or you're at executive level and you already know that you want to step outside of that and pursue entrepreneurship?
Yeah, no, thank you so much for that question. Really, it's not only solely that once you are outside of mainstream employment, you can start at any stage, because it does not only talk to your visibility as a businesswoman, but it also talks to your visibility as your personal brand.
Sure.
In corporate, how do you build your network while you are also still employed and working in a structured environment, so that you amplify your voice, your values? People know who you are, what it is that you stand for, what it is that you are all about. It also just helps you, to navigate the work environment better when people are very clear about your vision and your personal growth, as well as professional growth, as you climb up the corporate ladder. So it's at various stages in your life and career. So it's not really meant to be targeted only once you have exited, or if you're planning to exit corporate employment, because employment comes in many forms and shapes. So it's very important that we start as early as possible for African women to cultivate and amplify their voices with confidence and presence, so that at whatever stage that they may be in or find themselves in their lives, in their career, in their personal spaces, they have then the confidence to show up for themselves.
And Pamela, let's talk about the significance and the importance of really investing in that visibility, which you will cover on Saturday, and also investing in your own personal brand. so that when you do walk out in confidence, knowing exactly what story you are selling in the midst of you juggling so many things, whether it's a corporate job, family, whatever it is, walking with that confidence. Talk to us about the significance of investing in yourself as a personal brand and of that visibility.
Yeah. No, it is very, very critical. Like I said earlier, thank you for this question. Like I said earlier, that, in South Africa, but not only in the continent at large, so we find professionals, women especially, that have got brilliant minds and they're doing nice and wonderful things out there. But, we hardly see them, some of them. And so it is then very important then to show up with authenticity in whatever spaces. We're also fortunate that we live in a technology-driven, a global perspective where there's a social media. So it's also about how do you use your social media presence in both the personal and the professional spaces. Like I said earlier, what it is that you stand for, because the most women that I find myself either mentoring or coaching them, they're like, but Pam, how do you do it? How do you just decide that you're going to wake up and put up an interview or put up a post about this, about that? I said, if you don't then really show up for yourself, if you don't do it yourself, who will? But remember that it's not that you need to walk the journey alone, right? So connect with like-minded people, do some research in terms of what are the type of networks. There are so many women empowerment networks that we have in South Africa and the rest of the African continent that one can tap into. And a professional work network like LinkedIn, where you can build your brand, reach out to coaches where you believe that there's a specific area in your life, both personally and professionally, that you need guidance on or someone to walk the journey with you. And then also just make sure that you enlist their services as well. But I mean, in the world of information that we live in now, there's also more information on YouTube as well.
Absolutely. I am going to have to interject there. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. If you can just give us the details of this event again, very quickly, and where people can find tickets.
Yes, absolutely. So the tickets are available on Quicket. And so we'll also be sharing our social media links on LinkedIn as well as on Instagram. So it will be this Saturday afternoon from 2:30. It will also be online. So also online tickets are also available. So they can just follow us on our social media pages for more information.
Pamela, thank you very much for your time and all the best for Saturday. That is Pamela Kaba, the seasoned HR executive and founder of Nonkosi Creative, speaking to us about the event that they will be holding on Saturday, and that is that visibility master class. It is 31 minutes after 1 Central African time, though, and Musibiti Makura standing by with the sports news, for the very disappointed Pirates fans. I'm hoping that Musibudi will she's covering other things, man, like cocaine heads in the sportsing fraternity.
Wow.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Very good afternoon from the sports desk. We'll start here. South African under-20 national team coach Raymond Mdaga says tonight they are playing their most important game in the under-20 Africa Cup of Nations tournament, as victory over the Democratic Republic of Congo would see them qualify for the under-20 FIFA World Cup. The two teams lock horns at the Suez Canal Stadium in Ismailia, Egypt, in the fourth and last qualifier tonight. Amajita finished as the Group A winners, but Mdaga says qualifying for the World Cup in Chile has always been the primary target.
It's the most important game because every country that came here might be thinking of or might have thought of other results, but the core business is to qualify for the World Cup. So to us it becomes the final before the final, and this is the main one, honestly.
Now, after the last game against Sierra Leone, the players had complained about dropping energy levels as the tournament started to take its toll on their bodies. Mdaga says they have had this past weekend to revitalise them after their 1-1 draw against Zambia.
It's quite complex, but when you go to a tournament, you read the rules, you read the situation around the environment, and then you adjust. You adjust to say, if this is how it is, let's see how best can we refresh the players, because that's very important. It's your tactics that you have and you know them already, but then the freshness of the body is another thing. So.
Right, Nompumelelo, you touched on Orlando Pirates a little bit earlier, but let's talk about Orlando Pirates now on a different story. Yes, they lost the Nedbank Cup final over the weekend. They're set to lose their coach much more earlier than expected. So the news coming from the Orlando Pirates camp is that the football club can confirm that the head coach Jose Ribeiro will be on the bench for the final time when they when the team host Golden Arrows on Tuesday evening in the Betway Premiership. The club has granted Coach Ribeiro an early release from his contract, which was originally set to run until the end of June 2025. In a statement, the club chairperson, Dr. Ivan Khoza, confirmed Ribeiro approached the management just a few weeks ago with a request to be released from his contract ahead of the schedule, having signed for a new club. So Coach Ribeiro leaves behind a legacy of excellence, having written his name in the history books on the club with a remarkable coaching record as well as a string of silverware. A few media reports are now linking the Spaniard to Egyptian giants Al Ahly, who recently fired their coach Marcel Koller. This after failing to qualify the team to the final of the CAF Champions League. On to this now. Indian batsman Virat Kohli announced his retirement from Test cricket earlier today, bringing down the curtain on a sparkling career in the longest format just days after captain Rohit Sharma did the same. Kohli, who made his debut back in 2011 and scored 30 centuries as well as 9,290 runs at an average of 46.85 over 123 test matches, is expected to remain available for one-day internationals. The 36-year-old quit T20 internationals immediately after India won the second T20 World Cup trophy in the West Indies just last year. So while Kohli's final test wrapped up with a 3-1 Test series defeat by Australia in January over India for the first time in a decade, he will be remembered, of course, mostly for his spell as a captain between 2014 and 2022. Kohli won 40 on the 68 Test matches in charge of India to become the country's most successful captain in the format, and also sits fourth in the list of captains with the most Test victories. So India suffered only 17 defeats with Kohli at the helm of the team as he guided the side to the final of the inaugural World Test Championship in 2021, where they lost to New Zealand. He was also part of the team that lost the second Test World Championship final to Australia in 2023. And finally, Carlos Alcaraz joined reigning Italian Open champion Alexander Zverev in the last 16 in Rome after seeing off Lasso Gere 7-6 and 6-2 on centre court on Sunday. Four-time Grand Slam champion Alcaraz reached the fourth round at the Foro Italico for the first time this after a battle with the spirited Gere. In the next round, Alcaraz will face Karen Khachanov, who knocked out Italian wildcard entrant Francesco Passero 6-3 and 6-love. Zverev, meanwhile, barely broke a sweat against Lithuanian qualifier Vilies Gubaz, easing to a 6-4, 6-love victory to set up a last 16 clash with France's Arthur Fils. Meanwhile, Daniil Medvedev will face the home favourite Lorenzo Musetti after making no mistake against Alexei Poprin, winning 6-4 and 6-1. At the same time, in the women's draw, Arina Sabalenka came through a tough match with former Australian Open winner Sofia Kenin to set up a clash with Marta Kuziak, who beat Leila Fernandez of Canada 6-4 and 6-2. And that concludes your Sports News Hour. There'll be more sporting updates in the second hour of the Upside. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, simply send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibu D. Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
38 minutes past 1 p.m. Central African Time. Let's now get the latest in business news and find out how the markets are moving.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Good afternoon. The Gauteng provincial government in South Africa has revealed that it underspent $97 million at the end of the 2024-25 financial year. The provincial government says 58% of the underspending came from the health and education provincial departments, while 42% was attributed to other various departments. Finance MEC Lebogang Maile explained that of the $97 million underspent, a total of $20 million was from conditional grants from the national government. Maile was addressing a media briefing in Johannesburg.
Of the 381.510 million in conditional grant underspending, a total of 295.665 million was the subject of an application to the National Treasury, while the relevant departments could not motivate and provide evidence for the balance of 85.845 million, which will revert to National Revenue Fund.
South Africa's Gauteng Health Department says it is working to resolve the issue of unpaid salaries of healthcare workers in its hospitals. This follows reports that several doctors, including those at key public hospitals like Chris Hani Baragwanath, Charlotte Maxeke and Dr. George Mukari, have not received their salaries for months. The department has cited, among others, the failure of some employees at Chris Hani Baragwanath Hospital to adhere to a verification process to prove that they are not ghost workers. It says this has led to the employees' salaries being frozen. Department spokesperson Mutalatale Mudiba.
We said we're going to be verifying all our 85,642 employees who are currently on the department's payroll as part of a campaign to ensure that we can account for each and every person who is not on that payroll. And we said that failure to participate in that process would have other consequences, and those consequences, some of them would be freezing of salaries. Sure. At the end of April, there were about 188 employees whose salaries were frozen because they had not come forth to verify it themselves.
South Africa's MTN Group has reported a 33% jump in first quarter core profit today due to strong service revenue growth, lower device cost of sales in its domestic market, and a more stable macroeconomic environment. Group service revenue increased 10.4% overall in the quarter. This was helped by a 40.4% growth in MTN Nigeria and 39.5% in MTN Ghana. MTN South Africa continued to navigate competitive challenges, most notably in the prepaid segment, with service revenue up by 2.6%. Chinese stocks on the Shanghai and Hong Kong markets have rallied, and the yuan has strengthened after positive weekend trade talks in Geneva between China and the U.S. Both sides say progress has been made towards averting a devastating tariff war. But the deputy head of the International Chamber of Commerce, Andrew Wilson, says President Donald Trump's espousal on heavy import taxes has shifted the world's expectations.
I think that is the risk, that our perceptions have been recalibrated to such an extent that the US administration has shifted the economic clock back to the 1930s or even the early 1900s. I don't think we should be comfortable accepting that as a baseline. Tariffs come with huge costs. There are enormous risks to the US economy, and we're already seeing consumer confidence and business confidence in the US deteriorating as a result.
Meanwhile, the US and China have sought to end their trade war by agreeing to slash the tariffs they imposed on each other's goods. Both sides have agreed to cut import duties by 115 percentage points. The BBC's Morgan Folks has the details.
The world's two biggest economies, the US and China, have been on a collision course, ramping up reciprocal tariffs to over 100%, unsustainable levels that threaten the global economy. The tariffs are back down to 10%, but the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also made it clear that Washington would continue with what he called a strategic rebalancing of global trade.
Let's have a look at financial indicators this afternoon. $1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 606. In Botswana, 13 pula 46. In Kenya, the dollar is at 128 shillings 707. Zambia, 27 kwacha 3. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 real 64. Russia, 82 rubles 49. India, 85 rupee 38. China, 71.22. South Africa, $1 is at 18 rand 23. $1 is at 75 pence to the British pound, 88 to the euro. Looking at commodities, gold is at $3,211. Platinum at $974 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil, $65.84 a barrel. That is all. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email, newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 For Channel Africa Business, I am Chandruko Ligege.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Join the birthday celebrations this month.
Happy birthday to you. Still connecting Africa to the world.
Channel Africa, the African perspective. Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
All right, it is 15 minutes before 2 Central African time, and just at the back of Mother's Day, the celebrations of Mother's Day on Sunday, yesterday, we're going to be speaking about parenting styles.
Yes.
Yeah, parenting styles,
Yes.
For different family dynamics, whether it be a blended family, it be a single parent.
Yeah.
Parenting styles have changed. Because I think formally, I wanted to say formally, traditionally, parenting style was kind of one way, right? Very authoritative, non-consultative, but things are shifting. You find parents who say that they are the gentle parent and but joining us to have this conversation about today's moms and just the types of provision that they make for their family in terms of raising them is Chantel Shangare, who's the founder and managing director of Mosh South Africa, as well as Mosh Zimbabwe. Chantel, good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon. Thank you so much.
Let's, Chantel, perhaps outline in what ways motherhood has changed over the years and what has contributed to those changes.
A lot has significantly changed over the years, and these are some of the key changes. There is the decline in maternal mortality, like they've decreased by 40% over the past 25 years. With most women receiving skilled birth attendants, and however, most women are dying daily while giving birth. And then we also have increased reproductive choices. There are so many contraceptive methods which are enabling women to make informed decisions about family planning. And also, we also have changing family dynamics. People preferring to have one wife and having few children, and we also have redefined expectations. Modern mothers are looking at more and prioritizing their careers and what they want to do in their lives, and it also impacts on becoming a mother. And then also shifting gender roles. Men are gradually taking on more domestic responsibilities, with the research indicating a 7-minute decrease in the daily gender gap. And we have also reduced teenage pregnancies because of awareness programs that we have across the world, and also the family planning resources available to these teenagers. We also have motherhood and identity. Some mothers becoming profoundly aware of their identity, values, and priorities. So all of these are resulting in them having it impacts on motherhood mostly.
Chantel, we are seeing quite a lot of blended families now. Stepmothers with stepchildren, single households. The blending and the impact that then has on the kids. Is there a way that we can find harmony with so many different non-traditional ways or non-traditional structures? Is there a way for us to create harmony in these blended families that we find in our societies today?
Yeah, there is. I think first and foremost, communication is key. Effective communication is crucial in blended families to navigate relationships and also set boundaries. And then it is also important for people who find themselves in blended families to build relationships. Like, let's say the mother is the one who came to this man who has his own children. The mother should strive to build relationships with the children, fostering positive relationships, and making sure that even if the relationship may not be biological, it must be very mutual. And it's essential for these parents coming into these children's lives to understand them and look at the positive side of being together as a family. And I also think it's very important for them to be very flexible and patient in adjusting into the new dynamics.
Chantel, you spoke earlier on about women, prioritizing their careers and shifting gender roles. And now, I was wondering how all of that then plays a role in work-life balance or balance in whatever ways between parenting and interests that mothers may have. Is there a bigger drive towards women wanting more balance, and are they achieving it on the whole?
No, I actually think they can be able to balance between parenting and work life if they can actually find time for them. If they can also get emotional support from the community at large and from their own family. I actually think it would be they would be able to strike a balance between work and parenting.
Chantel, the struggle is indeed real. The mom guilt, as you sticking to the conversation of balancing work and then personal and navigating, taking care of the kids. But mom guilt is a real thing, Chantel, where a lot of, especially in single household or single parent households, where the mom is the single mom and the only provider, they want to spend more time with the kids, but they also understand that they need to work so that they can give them the life that they want for their children. How do they go about managing that so that they're not weighed down too much or heavily by work guilt and not spending enough time in their own minds with their own children?
No, I think on that one, I think they should, the mothers are supposed to at least look at their own lives first, and before they can bring on the family responsibilities. Like, self-care is very important, taking care of themselves, working out, having quality time on their own at times, so that at least they can get time to rejuvenate, and also give the children time to grow and be independent.
How important is community, Chantel? In today's modern day living, people are quite isolated because of schedules, but because of just the way that they live. Is there still room for having community in order to aid with parenting?
Yeah, I think the community can also provide support in form of emotional support, practical support, and social support. With emotional support, I think the community has to allow mothers to share their feelings and concerns without criticism or judgment. And also, I think the community has to validate their experiences, like acknowledging the challenges and emotions that come with motherhood. It's not an easy task being a mother. We all know that. And then I'm sure it's also the role of the community to give practical support to mothers in terms of meal trains, organized meal delivery, cooking support to help the food preparation, household help, networking, so that the mothers have local resources, support groups, and online communities. In terms of social support, I think the community can also help create opportunities for mothers to connect with others who share similar experiences, and also promoting an inclusive environment, fostering a welcoming environment that encourages mothers to share their concerns and feelings.
Chantel, well, thank you so much for your time this afternoon and for your insights and just shining light on what the modern mom looks like and her struggles, and also sharing some tips on how they can better navigate motherhood with the help of community, of course. But thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you.
The voice there of Chantel Shangare, founder and managing director of Mosh South Africa and Mosh Zimbabwe. The modern mom, she goes through quite a bit, quite a few challenges. I wanted to ask, actually, what role do the fathers then play? Because to bring a child into the world is not a one-person job. And yes, you may be single now, but is there a role that the father still plays that could be significant and helpful in your navigation of being a mother, a modern-day mother?
That is a very good question. Maybe we should get dads in.
Yeah, I think that's an
those
important
who
one. Yeah.
not necessarily, who don't live with their children, and find out how they navigate those challenges.
Important one. You can't run away from that.
Because proximity also does matter.
Absolutely.
In raising a child. Yeah, hey. All right. We'll have a chat during this little break. We'll be back.
Story about this girl where I just meet. She looking fly, yeah, she looking at the boys looking like money right from my head down to my feet. She just smile at me, I don't really know what it means. Me, I'm in a bit of a limbo, but still I will make a move on this young lady. Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Me, I wanna call you up, see I want your number, girl. Can I get your number? Six, 5, 4, 7, 8, 5, 3. Rings in, I'm already dialing, baby. Hello, 6, 5, 6, 5, 4, 7, 8, 5, 3. Rings in, I'm already dialing, baby. Hello, I'm a Rachi. You just always to make me happy. Be like saying now you are go marry. See all my friends, them and my family, them love you. That I swear I'm a Rachi. To God, I'm feeling you badly. See what you want, what I'll do exactly. And you should know if you want, you can always lean on me. Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Me, I wanna call you up. See, I want your number, body is banging and I am feeling it. The way I'm feeling, there's no concealing it. You young, you find so magnificent. Go on, girl, you just keep killing it. Your body like orange and I am feeling it. The way I'm feeling, there's no concealing. That's why I'm revealing it. So, can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Me, I wanna call you up. See, I want your number, girl. Can I get your number, girl? Can I get your number, girl? Me, I wanna call you. 656547853 rings me. I'm already lying in it. I call you. Hello, 656547853 rings me. I'm already lying in, baby. Hello, 656547853 rings me. I'm already lying in.
That's IOJ's number, your number. Our number is +27 63 406 9126. On DSTV, it's channel 802. It's less than a minute to go before 2 p.m. Central African time. Onele has your latest in news. I wonder if she's going to talk about...
what caught my eye?
What caught your eye?
Yeah, I think it'll probably be her lead.
There are people who are going to be going to another country.
They are
to be refugees.
en route.
Onele, take it over.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo. Looking at your top stories, the group of white Afrikaners resettling in the U.S. as refugees questioned, and the impending release of an Israeli-American hostage under the spotlight. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation says there is no basis to identify the group of white Afrikaners resettling in the U.S. as refugees. This is the first group of white Afrikaners is set to arrive in the U.S. today, following the Trump administration's decision to grant them refugee status. They departed OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg yesterday. The department spokesperson, Crispin Piri, says while everyone has the right to leave the country, they should not do so under false pretense.
If they were refugees, South Africa would be the only country in the world where so-called persecuted persons are judges, ministers. So really, the designation that these individuals are being persecuted on the grounds of race and language is completely unfounded. If individuals want to leave and go to another country, by any means, the Constitution allows you to do so. We have not stood in their way. But what we categorically are clear about is that these are not refugees.
Meanwhile, South Africa's International Relations and Cooperations Minister, Ronald Lamola, says the Afrikaner group that took a decision to leave for the U.S. do not qualify for a refugee status. Addressing the media in Pretoria on the country's preparedness on the main G20 summit in November, Lamola says all citizens in the country are treated equally.
From the perspective of the South African government, in terms of the executive orders that have defined the refugees, the South Africans as refugees, we have stated in the statement we issued on Friday that in line with the international definition, they do not qualify for that status, and there is no persecution of white African or South Africans in South Africa. This has been proven by a number of statistics in our country, including the police reports.
South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa says the African continent must strive for peace, especially where there are acts of conflict. He says the latest ceasefire agreement in the Democratic Republic of Congo is the right step towards lasting peace on the continent. Speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Ramaphosa says the withdrawal of the SAMI DRC troops was necessary for laying the foundation for peace talks between the warring factions.
The processes that have been happening on the continent, either the Nairobi process, the Luanda process, AU process, have been very, very essential in building a foundation of peacemaking and also confidence building, up to and including agreements that have been reached for a ceasefire between the belligerents up to and including the withdrawal of, say, the SADC forces.
At least 130 civilians were killed by Burkina Faso government forces and allied militia in March alone near the western town of Solenzo. Ahead of the News Human Rights Watch report today, there were reports of more militant attacks over the weekend, with dozens of military and civilian casualties. About 40% of Burkina Faso is under the control of groups linked to Al-Qaeda in the Islamic State, operating in West Africa's Sahel region. The attacks, in which thousands of people have been killed and millions displaced, have continued despite promises by the country's military leaders to deal with the insurgency. The HRW previously said the army was implicated in the killings. And lastly, the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu says the impending release of an Israeli-American hostage, Dan Alexander, announced by Hamas, will not lead to a ceasefire or the release of Palestinian prisoners. His office said the release was possible because of the backing of U.S. President Donald Trump and IDF military pressure in the Gaza Strip. The BBC's Yolanda Nell.
Hamas has previously refused to free more captives without Israel first committing to a path to end the 19-month-long war, a condition that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly rejected. His office said Israel had not committed to a ceasefire, but only a safe corridor for the expected release of Dan Alexander. This development comes at a pivotal time. Israel is threatening a new major military offensive in Gaza. It has stopped all aid from entering for more than 2 months, causing a deep humanitarian crisis.
Now recapping on your top stories, South Africa's Department of International Relations and Cooperation says there is no basis to identify the group of white Afrikaners resettling in the U.S. as refugees. This is the first group of the white Afrikaners is set to arrive in the U.S. today, following the Trump administration's decision to grant them refugee status. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Ntsinzi.
Your afternoons. SABC News. The African Perspective.
It's 7 minutes after 2 Central African time, the second hour of The Upside with me, Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. Tebogo is having lots of fun on his camera, taking content in studio. Do check out our TikTok account. I believe it may make it to TikTok as well as X.
Yes.
And that is at Channel Africa 1 if you want to see what we have been up to in studio. But of course, we stream live throughout the show. So if at any point you want to dip in and see our interaction with our guests, it's at Channel Africa on YouTube, at Channel Africa 1 on Instagram, at Channel Africa 1 on X, at Channel Africa 1 on TikTok. But it's just at Channel Africa without the numeric on Facebook. Coming up in this hour of the show.
Listen, according to recent data, women are now leading the charge in South Africa's residential property market, with 38% of homes owned by women. But yet 38%. But yet behind this progress lies a deeper story of emotional and financial weight.
Okay. I'm excited for that one.
We unpack what does that actually mean, and the challenges for women to buy their own homes, maintain, sustain.
Particularly the single ones,
Particularly the single ones, right? And when we then compare that to their male counterparts, the weights that they carry, it's worth having a conversation about, especially for those who are considering getting into the property market right now, and they're like, hey, I've got a good job, I live by myself, I don't need no one else, I can do this myself. What will that mean for you? What will that mean for your pocket? What will that mean for your emotional state? Because it does carry a bit of a weight. And so we'll unpack that. What does it actually mean? And also ways that we can navigate this residential property purchasing for women, and find smart ways of doing it, and ways that will lighten their burden a bit.
I wonder if the Stockfell type approach to buying property is what led to the increase in the number of women owning properties. Because a couple of years ago, I mean, I may have still been in high school, there was this kind of rise of women saying, if we do it together, we can attain home ownership on our own. When exploring the various ways in which women are acquiring property, perhaps that is the one way that has been a success. We'll find out.
It's one of the best ways, I think, doing it as a community.
Yeah.
Doing it together. I mean, now we are seeing financial institutions recognizing things like Stockfells and providing proper support and structures and infrastructure and regulations. And so they're recognizing that when we start doing things as a community, I mean, I'm digressing, but I'm seeing, there was a conversation that I had not too long ago about a farm owned by a community, where a community said, listen, we want to own this place together. It's not going to be for one person. We'll assign a body, a chairman, people to manage and be accountable, but we are going to own it as a community. And I'm like, wow,
I love that.
That's the way forward, is it not?
I really do love that.
Love it, love it.
Okay, 10 minutes after 2 Central African time, all things property.
Got something to say? Are you passionate about issues that matter?
Do you have a voice that deserves to be heard?
Well, we've got the perfect platform for you. Call in or drop us a WhatsApp on +27 63 406 9126.
And we will call you back.
So you could have your say and be part of the conversation.
30 years of age, I just turned 30 on the 15th of November. So that's who I am, you know.
It's not just talk, it's your chance to air your views.
Share your opinion.
Engage with the community that values your perspective.
Follow us on our social media.
Visit our website at www.channelafrica.co.za and get ready to share your views on Channel Africa,
the African perspective.
Join the birthday celebrations this month.
Happy birthday to you. Still connecting Africa to the world.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Dangote, see they find money. No level.
It's Kelpie vibes.
Dangote, see they find money. I know they sleep on the money. Who happy? Where make I no go find money? I know they send anybody. Me at the hustle, come down, check up. Make you hustle, my luck up. I know be your lord, I know be baller. Oh, I'm a to baller, fuck up. I go show you my color. She want to pay me a lot, baller. Me gonga moya one pala. The matter plenty and no me only sata. Oh no. You're gonna listen well. When I dey strive and I dey hustle, waiting I dey find. Kaluba I dey find. When I dey move from place to place. Waiting at the find, now the dollar they find, and I don't do yes. And many people don't tell me no. Oh ní láti lówó di dandan. Torí ìyá mi ò bí mọ̀ ọ̀dọ̀ yọ. Is it because I dey do am for love? If I get the cash, I go tell you love, pop. I go give you cash, I go be your sponsor. Money ìyá mi ò bí mọ̀ ọ̀dọ̀ yọ. Is it because I dey do am for love? If I get the money, you go know. Till I go out to the kingdom come. Because Dangote, see they buy money. I know they sleep on the money. Who happy, where make I no go buy money? I know they send anybody. Me to go check up. Make you hustle my luck up. I know be your lord, I know be baller. Oh, I'm a to baller fuck up. I go show you my color. She want to pay me a lot, baller. They me gonna more, yeah, I want baller. They matter plenty, I know me only sata. Oh no. Baby gonna love my dancer. Happy you forget, say happy the gaga. Oh man, going gaga, lorry gaga. Oh man, going gaga, lorry gaga. Very low, girl, be. Very young gaga, no gaga. Bami no gaga, yeah. My money, no, my money, my money, no, Who are me? No gonna sleep, no gonna sleep, Only Lucky chat, they find money. I'm gonna take they find money. They don't like they find money. Why me no go find money? Find money.
I have not heard. Does it ever happen to you where you have heard a song before and it's only when you hear it maybe like the 100th time, maybe not 100, but it just sounds different and good?
You should have seen Nompumelelo in studio, jivating to the song. From start to finish.
Hardly gyrating.
It was jivating. Yes.
Jivating. I've never heard of that one. That's a new one.
I tell you what, you know what it's like? It's when you listen to a song on radio, it sounds completely different to when you're listening to it on your phone or on your own. Right? It's the same thing. Or we're listening to it in a taxi. It's like, my goodness me, it's a banger. I didn't realize it's a banger. So maybe it's because you're listening to it on Channel Africa.
Absolutely.
You see?
It has everything to do with the environment. That's Burna Boy with Dangote, bringing us to 16 minutes after 2 Central African time.
All right, let's get into our conversation about property and ownership. Right? When women buy homes, they're not just investing in property, they're investing in protection, purpose, and a future their children can stand on. In South Africa, women now own nearly 4 in 10 homes. Yet, for many mothers, this milestone comes with emotional and financial pressure most never see. From single parenting to soaring living costs, home ownership becomes both a dream and a daily juggle. So how do you prepare, protect, and prosper as a woman buying property? Joining us now is Esther Devar, a financial advisor at Momentum Financial Planning, to help us unpack the true cost and power of owning a home as a mother. Esther, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Hi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on the show. So yes, it does face many challenges, but property ownership isn't the only challenge that women face. As revealed by Stats SA, 45.4% of children live with their mothers only, and only 4.2% live with their fathers. So the property burden on motherhood is immense. And I believe in placing greater emphasis on the dual financial and caregiving roles that many women take. So whether you're single, widowed, or supporting families on your own, mothers need to be especially vigilant about the long-term financial implications of owning a home.
All right.
So prospective buying mothers need to look beyond the bond and seek expert financial advice.
Sure. Esther, let's maybe just take a little step back before we get into the financial advice. I mean, the report does show that women are driving the local property market. But what do you think accounts for this trend,
Yes.
number one? And how does it impact then their finances?
Okay. So home ownership represents stability and a legacy that they want to leave for their children. And I think this is what's driving it, so that there is a place that the children can call home, but it comes with responsibilities far beyond the initial purchase price. You know, the first step for mothers navigating towards home ownership independently is to get financially prepared. And this means improving your credit record, settling outstanding debts, and saving for a substantial deposit. You don't need to be a slave to your bond. A larger deposit reduces your monthly repayments, which can secure better interest rates for you, which is especially important when lenders are cautious due to high interest rates. Also, getting a pre-approved loan can give buyers a competitive edge. It sends a strong signal to sellers that you're serious and financially prepared, and especially an important factor for women still facing gender-specific hurdles like income disparities or simply being overlooked in negotiations. There are also other factors to consider, especially when you look at the impact of unsecured debt. According to the latest 2024 quarter four Debt Busters Debt Index, which also reflects trends up to 2025, a significant number of South African households continue to rely on unsecured credit and personal loans to cover essential expenses. And this ongoing dependence highlights the persistent financial strain experienced by many households, particularly those already burdened by home loans.
Esther, we are going to take a bit of a break. When we come back, we'll continue the conversation. There are lots of aspects to explore there. We're in conversation with Esther Davar, and Esther is speaking to us from Momentum. She is a representative. She's a financial advisor there, and we'll be back speaking about women in property ownership. It's 20 minutes after 2 Central African time.
Ahoy, matey!
Captain here to help, right, boys?
Set sail with us on a digital voyage like no other. Channel Africa has a treasure trove of awesomeness. That is our website and social media pages.
Tell me, why are you here?
We want you to be part of our adventure.
The winds are changing, Captain. And this time...
Imagine a world where curiosity knows no bounds, where entertainment meets enlightenment, and where every click leads to the African perspective. Visit us on our website, www.channelafrica.co.za, or follow us on Instagram or on X at Channel Africa 1. Go on, like us on Facebook at Channel Africa 1. So, spread the word. Tell a friend that Channel Africa's online variety is what they need on the web. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Connecting Africa to the world. The Upside. Your daily dose of inspiration, innovation, and untold stories from across Africa. With Nompumelelo and Tebogo.
22 minutes past 2 p.m. Central African time. Welcome back to The Upside with Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. It's our Monday edition of the show, and we are currently in conversation with Esther Davar, a financial advisor at Momentum Financial Planning, to talk to us about women in property. Esther, you were mentioning earlier about women needing to be financially secure and seeking financial advice, ensuring that their finances are in order when they start looking at things like buying property. I want to throw it back at you personally and ask, have you bought property yourself, and what did that moment feel like for you as a woman buying your first property?
Yes, I have, and actually it's an amazing achievement. It's a sense of ownership of the biggest asset that you're ever going to have. And It's a sense of accomplishment. And I'm sure a lot of women feel this way when they're looking at buying property for the first time, especially. And property can always be bought thereafter as an investment, but your first property is a great sense of achievement and accomplishment.
Yeah, let's talk about the types
Does that answer your question?
Financial systems one needs in place, ahead of making that purchase for property. We understand the emotional attachments to it. You alluded earlier on to security, legacy, a sense of pride. But I suppose people have to be financially practical.
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. And I did mention earlier that one of the steps, the first step that you would need to take is to look at improving your credit record. You need to settle all outstanding debt that you have, because that is going to be looked at. And then, of course, saving for a substantial deposit. This really makes a difference in the interest rate that you can secure with the bank that's lending you the money. Also, getting pre-approved is very important. It just gives you that competitive edge. But buying a home is something that you can't wing. You just can't wing it. You have to look at questions. You need to ask yourself whether it's about neighborhood safety, the condition of the property, or the total cost of ownership. Make sure you're working with professionals who give you straight answers. And I think you'll be able to judge very quickly if a professional is not upfront with you. Women in particular often carry additional safety concerns when choosing a neighborhood. That may mean prioritizing secure complexes or proximity to school and family networks. Houses also affect the long-term affordability of a home. Obviously, if you're looking for higher security, it means an increased price as well. But then finally, once you've secured your property, you need to protect your investment for peace of mind. And once the house is yours, your next financial priority should be protection. That means not only obtaining home insurance, but understanding how to safeguard your investment against unexpected job loss or even a natural disaster like extreme flooding, etc. A financial advisor can help you choose the right insurance cover and build an emergency fund. This usually entails saving 6 months' worth of living expenses in an access bond or any vehicle that you choose suitable, as long as you're not going to access it in a hurry, as a financial lifeline during tough times, hopefully avoiding drama behind high personal loans or missed bond repayments. Another issue to take into account here is high interest rates. People really battled if there was no provision made when interest rates soared in the past few years. So in the end, the reality is that buying a home is all about a financially sustainable future for yourself and your children. And that starts with understanding the real costs. And I'd highly recommend, before you make a huge decision like this, is to speak to a financial advisor before making this major decision. The right plan will protect your home and your peace of mind while you take care of what matters most to you.
And Esther, for women who are still considering whether I should rent or whether I should buy, what are the key questions that they need to be asking, whether their financial advisor or themselves, to journey into home ownership?
Okay, the important question is to look at the budget. The budget is important. Rental has less issues than owning your own home. With the rental, you're basically paying the rent and you're probably paying electricity and the water bill. But remember, with your own home, either comes a levy or the rates, which is over and above your electricity and water bills. Yeah. And there's your own maintenance that you have to see to when renting your own home. So you have to take all these factors into account when deciding whether you're renting or you are going to buy your own home. And it's important to sit down with someone who can give you the right direction with your budget and see whether you can manage this. You also have to take unexpected interest rate hikes into account with an exercise like this as well.
Chantal, just let us know where people can find you if they are wanting some advice and are looking to buy property.
Yes, sure. I can be contacted on 084-587-3621 or at esther.devar@momentum.co.za.
Esther Devar is a financial advisor at Momentum Financial Planning. Thank you very much, Esther, for your time.
Thank you for your time. Thank you for having me. Thanks.
All right.
Sound advice?
No, very sound. Pay off all your debt and have 6 months worth of
I don't know
your
why we're
living expense.
Very important. I think
so. That's what you spend every single month. You need to have
for 6 months.
Yeah,
for 6 months. Yeah. And my thing is, I'm thinking about those young couples, those newlyweds who have spent so much money on the wedding, the lobola, the honeymoon, and now you're starting wanting to buy a house. Is it practical to then start off with no debt? Especially when you're newlywed like that? Or is it advisable that you shouldn't
be getting into debt for a wedding, right?
You'd be shocked.
No, that's a
shocked.
recipe for a very short marriage.
That's why traditionally a lot of families would still say that the families need to be involved in that. The parents contribute, to that, so that you don't start off your new life
That's what
in debt.
The lobola money is for.
Some don't practice it that way, so you do indeed start off.
That entire lobola money should be going towards a wedding if you want a wedding. That's what it's for.
Please say it louder.
Not to get a new kitchen unit. All right, it's at 2:30. Let's head on over to sports news with Musubudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Very good afternoon once again from the sports desk. Now, the South African under-20 national team head coach Raymond Mdaga says tonight they are playing their most important match in the under-20 Africa Cup of Nations tournament, as victory over the Democratic Republic of Congo would then see them qualify for the under-20 FIFA World Cup. Now, the two teams lock horns at the Suez Canal Stadium in the city of Ismailia in Egypt for the fourth and the last qualified tonight. Amajita finished in Group A as the winners of that group, but Mdaga says qualifying now for the World Cup in Chile is their primary target.
It's the most important game because every country that came here might be thinking of or might have thought of other results, but the core business is to qualify for the World Cup. So to us it becomes the final before the final, and this is the main one, honestly.
Now, after the last game against Sierra Leone, the players had complained about dropping energy levels as the tournament started to take its toll on their bodies. Mdaga says they have had this past weekend to revitalize the team after that 1-1 draw against Zambia.
It's quite complex, but when you go to a tournament, you read the rules, you read the situation around the environment, and then you adjust. To say, if this is how it is, let's see how best can we refresh the players, because that's very important. It's your tactics that you have and you know them already, but then the freshness of the body is another thing. So.
On to this now, FIFA has announced that the World Cup, the Women's World Cup in 2031 will be expanded from 32 to 48 teams. The FIFA Council voted unanimously for the changes that will be in place for 2035 edition as well, due to be hosted in the United Kingdom. As a result of the increase in teams, the competition will now adopt a 12-group format with an additional 40 matches, up from 64 to 104. that will then extend the tournament by a week. Now, FIFA President Gianni Infantino said the changes would also give more nations the chance to benefit from the tournament to also develop their women's football structures. In case you missed it, Indian batter, that is of course Virat Kohli, announced his retirement from Test cricket on Monday. That's earlier on today, bringing down the curtain on a sparkling career in the longest format, just days after the captain Rohit Sharma did the same. Kohli, who made his debut in 2011 and then scored 30 centuries as well as 9,230 runs and an average of 46.85 over 123 test matches, is expected to remain available for the one-day internationals. The 36-year-old quit T20 internationals immediately after India won their second 20 overs World Cup trophy in the West Indies just last year. So while Kohli's final test wrapped up 3-1 test series defeat by Australia in January that saw India relinquish the Border Gavaskar trophy for the first time in a decade, he will be remembered most for his spells as the captain between 2014 as well as 2022. Kohli won 40 of his 68 test matches in charge of India to become the country's most successful skipper in the format, and also sits fourth in the list of captains with the most test victories. India suffered only 17 defeats with Kohli at the helm as he guided the side to the final of the inaugural World Test Championship in 2021, where they lost to New Zealand. He was also part of the team that lost the second World Test Championship final. This one was against Australia in 2023. And finally, in tennis news, so we'll get to see Italy wanting to defend the Billie Jean King Cup, which will then get underway in September of this year in China, following the draw that took place earlier on today in Shenzhen. If they manage to win that one, Yasmin Paolini's team will then qualify and then win their fifth title in the women's team event last year by defeating Slovakia in the final in Malaga. They will face off with the Ukraine or Spain in the semi-finals. On the other side of the draw, the quarterfinals will pit the USA against Kazakhstan and Japan against Great Britain. Shenzhen is hosting the finals, which have also brought forward from November for the first time and will also do so until at least 2027. The event has been reduced from 12 teams to 8, aligning with the men's Davis Cup finals. It's a wrap from the sports desk at this hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, our email address is newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makure.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa. It's time to plug into the heartbeat of the continent. Tune in to Channel Africa, your go-to radio station that broadcasts in 5 different languages.
L'Afrique du Sud célèbre la journée nationale du
Kabla hujaitwa kwa jina la Double K or more of our forests have been destroyed.
Partido Africano da Independência da Guiné.
See, Channel Africa represents every corner of this amazing land. From Lagos to Cape Town, Nairobi to Dakar, we've got you covered with the freshest news, music, and cultures. So, turn up the volume, feel the rhythm. Enjoy the conversation. Channel Africa, the African perspective. The upside, live and real.
37 minutes after 2 Central African time. Thanks, Musibudi, for that update. Let's head on over to business news now with Chanduko Lekeke.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Nompumelelo. Good afternoon. The World Bank Bank says Nigeria's economy recorded its fastest growth in about a decade in 2024, driven by a strong fourth quarter and an improved fiscal position. During a presentation in the capital, Abuja, the World Bank's lead economist for Nigeria, Alex Sinnett, said the economy grew by 4.6% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2024 and pointed to continued expansion in early 2025 based on high-frequency business indicators. The World Bank also warned that persistently high inflation remains a challenge. Bold reforms implemented by President Bola Tinubu, including adding costly petrol subsidies, slashing electricity allowances, and twice devaluing the naira currency, have added to upward pressure on prices. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has urged the private sector to engage with the African Continental Free Trade Area. The trade agreement aims to accelerate trade across the continent and strengthen its position in the global market. Speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Ramaphosa says this partnership will allow for significant progress.
It is an engine of growth, and through it, we'd like the private sector to embrace it, to participate in it, because what it does, it gives the African continent an opportunity to integrate, and it gives business people the opportunity to see the 1.4 billion people market on our continent and a GDP of the entire continent adding up to $3.4 trillion.
The Gauteng provincial government in South Africa has revealed that it underspent $97 million at the end of the 2024-25 financial year. The provincial government says 58% of the underspending came from the health and education provincial departments, while 42% was attributed to other various departments. Finance MEC Lebhang Maile explained that of the $97 million underspent, a total of $20 million was from conditional grants from the national government. He was addressing a media briefing in Johannesburg.
Of the 381.510 million in conditional grant underspending, a total of 295.665 million was the subject of an application to the National Treasury, while the relevant departments could not motivate and provide evidence for the balance of 85.845 million, which will revert to National Revenue Fund.
South Africa's MTN Group has reported a 33% jump in first quarter core profit today due to strong service revenue growth, lower device cost of sales in its domestic market, and a more stable macroeconomic environment. Group service revenue increased 10.4% overall in the quarter. This was helped by a 40.4% growth in MTN Nigeria and 39.5% in MTN Ghana. MTN South Africa continued to navigate competitive challenges, most notably in the prepaid segment, with service revenue up by 2.6%. The US and China have sought to end their trade war by agreeing to slash the tariffs they imposed on each other's goods. Both sides have agreed to cut import duties by 115 percentage points. The BBC's Morgan Folks has the details.
The world's two biggest economies, the US and China, have been on a collision course, ramping up reciprocal tariffs to over 100%. Unsustainable levels that threaten the global economy. The tariffs are back down to 10%, but the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also made it clear that Washington would continue with what he called a strategic rebalancing of global trade.
$1 in Nigeria is at 1,000 naira 606. In Botswana, 13 pula 46. Kenya, the dollar is at 128 shilling 707. Zambia, 27 kwacha 3. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil 5 real 64. Russia, 82 rubles 49. India, 85 rupee 38. China, 7 yuan 22. South Africa, 18 rand 23. $1 is 75 pence to the British pound and 88 to the euro. Commodities: gold is at $3,217, platinum at $980 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil $66.32 a barrel. That is all. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chanduko Ligege.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Tune in and turn up the volume. This is Channel Africa.
Dali when ungihambela uma way. Ngiyeza ngizohlala kini. Ngenxa yento engaphakathi kimi. Dali wakhuluma dale ngoba ufuna ngizohlala kini. Dali wakhuluma dale ngoba ufuna ngizohlala kini. Dale ngoba wathi uthando lukhona.
Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa. More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent, African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices: English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertisers, Channel Africa is more than just a platform. It's an opportunity. With 25 compelling shows covering current affairs, sports, business, music, and lifestyle, we deliver an engaging Pan-African audience ready to connect, invest, and act. Multi-award winning, internationally recognized, digitally accessible across the globe. When Africa speaks, the world listens, and Channel Africa makes sure of it. For business, for culture, for Africa, partner with Channel Africa, because Africa's voice is the future. Africa is a story, a living, breathing, ever-evolving masterpiece. And for over 5 decades now, one voice has told it like no other. Channel Africa.
47 minutes after 2 Central African Time. Lwa Ndlunkulu. Oh, you were about to come at me.
No, I wasn't. Lwa Ndlunkulu.
With Ngieza. I'm coming. Just hang on. Don't go anywhere.
I'm on my way. I said the last time, make sure that you were invited first. Don't just say I'm coming.
Wow. Okay.
That's
really harsh. But also a fact.
But it's a fact, is it not? You don't want to
go.
go.
Make sure that they are.
Exactly. You don't want to go where you were not invited. Otherwise, you'll be sent back.
That is very
That time you took a whole bus.
Would you ask someone politely to leave your home if they arrived uninvited to a thing?
I am too polite and too kind to do that.
You'd just ruin your own celebration and make yourself uncomfortable in your own home.
I would be very uncomfortable.
Than to set boundaries.
The thing is, my goodness, it took, there was a lot of planning from your side, clearly, to get to maybe a bit of sacrifice, I don't know, to get to my place. Now you're there.
You weren't invited to.
I know. Now you're there.
Please take your sacrifice home with you.
I would feel so bad.
I'm planning.
I would feel so bad if I have to say to you, I'm sorry, but I didn't invite you. But okay, so go back. Go. Thank you. Bye-bye. I would feel so bad. So I'll probably accommodate you, welcome you in.
And what about your own comfort and enjoyment in your own home?
I would just be very uncomfortable.
After having planned and spent money.
I would, I would suck it up for like an hour or two, a couple of hours, and just be like, okay, you know what, it is what it is, just for today.
And shame. And the ones who aren't invited typically tend to stay much, much longer. They have the best time.
Fortunately, at my place, you don't just come in. There's security there. So the security will let me know.
Yeah, but say the person came with me and I'm an invited guest. So they'll say Mpumi is at the gate. Can Mpumi come in?
Like I said, I'm too polite and friendly.
Shame.
I'll welcome you and then make you feel at home. And that's the problem right there, because you'll probably not want to leave after that.
I'll feel so welcome that I'll never want to leave.
Yeah, I'll find a way to leave though. I will.
You'll excuse yourself.
I'll excuse myself from my own. Exactly.
All right. Exactly. It is what caught your eye time. Do you want to go first?
What caught my eye? It's a reflective moment for me because this past weekend, the Soweto Derby, the Nedbank Cup final,
my
after a 10-year drought. Kaizer Chiefs got their cup, and it seemed to me as if whenever Kaizer Chiefs wins, I don't know if because they have the loudest fans, but when they win, like the whole world must know, the whole nation must know, everyone must be celebrating.
Everything comes to a standstill.
Everything does come to a standstill. We were having comments from celebrities, politicians, celebrating Kaizer Chiefs. We had one from the guy who does drip. Is it drip?
Yes.
The
shoes.
Lekau. He said, I wanted to ask you at Orlando Pirates for a drink. I realize you don't have a cup. Sharpa Kosi, the cup specialists.
Petty Labelle.
Dumim Kokstad, the gospel singer, right?
Yes.
10 years of being laughed at ends with the best possible opponent. I think he was just commenting. Clearly a Kaizer Chiefs fan. My thing was, what was very impressive was seeing the fan parks for that Soweto Derby game, the final. And I would love to see more of those, personally. We saw them during the Rugby World Cup, remember, at some stage. I would love to see more fan parks to get people to come together. Some may say, just go to a sport bar or something like that. But the fan parks, it's a different atmosphere, it's a different energy. And that's where people come together from all walks of life, all tribes, all races. We come together and we enjoy the sport, the game, and we celebrate as one. There were certainly people who were crying on Saturday, but I want more of that, and I feel like it can be done. I don't know why we're not doing more of it.
Well, part of the reason I think that it hasn't been done before and it was done this time, is because of the capacity of Moses Mabhida.
And that tickets
and this is after the ticketing scandal or ticketing a glitch.
Yeah.
So, more tickets were sold than the capacity of the stadium, and so they had to make provision for those who had already bought flight tickets and tickets themselves, but could no longer go. So it was really to accommodate those. I don't think that South Africa has a culture of fan parks, because people are usually able to go to the games themselves. And with the rugby, it's because it was a World Cup. It wasn't here,
It was a World Cup,
But you're right. I think they do a lot for the host city.
Yeah.
I mean, just in terms of what tourism. There was an estimate done. It was floating around. I don't know if it was an official one.
I don't think it was official, but I saw that one. Yeah.
But I mean, the influx of people who went to KZN this weekend did so much for job creation, even if it was for the short term, for tourism in that province. So well done on the whole to the organizers of the Nedbank Cup. To you too, Chiefs.
Congratulations to Chiefs, of course. Let's not.
I think
congratulations.
Pirates were very kind there.
Kind to who? Stop it. I watched that entire game. Kind to who? They missed out on opportunities. So did Chiefs, actually, at some stages.
But it was a game of two good halves, right?
Yeah. But like I said, for me, it was the fan park, and bringing that experience to more provinces, for me, is something that I think we need to invest into, especially provinces where they don't have big stadiums. Like, think of Nompumelelo. Yes, they've got the Mbombela Stadium, but not a lot of games or big games are being played there. Bring those fan park experiences where you're not just having to go to a sports bar and maybe you're underage and you're not allowed to go there, but a fan park allows you to be with other kids, the people in your community, different race. We come together. So more fan parks for me is what caught my eye, because I loved seeing that. What caught your eye this weekend, ma'am?
Sure. I mean, so last night, news dropped that there are some 49 white South Africans, white Afrikaans, Afrikaner South Africans, who were the first batch of South Africans to take up Trump on his refugee program for white South Africans who are facing, allegedly, according to Trump, persecution here in South Africa. So we have our first batch of white Afrikaners leaving South Africa and taking that opportunity up. They are en route. They left at around 8 p.m. last night. What's interesting for me about the story is the profile of them. And unfortunately, we won't know because they have been protected. Media did try to speak to them yesterday, but there was a lot of protection around them.
Okay.
But when they settle in, number one was, I thought, there was so much hullabaloo by the Afrikaner community about their children having to learn in other languages except Afrikaans.
Yeah. What are they going to learn
Trump
there?
is going to set up schools for them to learn in Afrikaans?
There's no Afrikaans in America.
All right. That's number one.
There's geen
There's what?
There's geen Afrikaans in America. All right. I don't even know if they can pronounce geen in America.
Geen.
Okay, it's the same thing.
No, you said geen.
All I'm saying is that there's none of Africa. There's no Afrikaans in America. So what are they going to learn? They're going to learn in English.
And
the very language that they.
Yeah.
Okay.
The reality, Tebogo, is that being an asylum seeker in any country is not fun.
It is not. They are officially going to be refugees when they get there.
100%. You're not going to be living lavishly. If they thought they had it tough in South Africa, boy, are they going to have a rude awakening when they get to the States. So it is reported that they're going to be settled in Texas.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And we'll have to wait and see. This is 49 of the 8,000 applications that government has received for white Afrikaners wanting to leave the very bad things that are happening in South Africa.
Perhaps you know these people. Or perhaps you are associated, or you know one of them. Is it an uncle? Is it a friend? Is it a neighbor? Perhaps let us in and tell us what their reasoning was and what their plans are. We'd love to hear from you. +27 63406 9126. So they're going to be refugees for how long? Is there an indication of how long they need?
Perpetuity? Why would you want to come back to a country that's persecuting you? You must also remember that if you are have refugee status then in America, you can't come back to South Africa and say, oh, my mate is having a bridal shower or is getting married.
No, you can't, because for your own protection, right? It's South Africa's unsafe.
Bad things are happening in South Africa. You can't just come for a braai or the good weather.
Jeez.
So, yeah, I'm wishing them well. Look, good luck. I do wish you well. I hope that it works out.
And also, a very small number. Was it not like a million people were like, we are going, we're all of us?
It is reflective of the number of white Afrikaners in this country who agree with this, who think that bad things are happening in South Africa. But also the inverse, if you look at it politically, what is America trying to do? What is it trying to say about the state of affairs in South Africa where white citizens are concerned? Do you know what I mean? To the rest of the world.
Yeah.
If South Africa were to say, we're giving refugee status to all black Americans because black lives seemingly don't matter in America, what would happen to South Africa politically?
So we're opening up a can of worms there. And I don't know the end game of what Trump was hoping to achieve, because also remember there was a period where there were people trying to correct and say, no, this is not happening. What they are saying and what's actually happening is completely different.
Right.
So then after that engagement that the U.S. ambassadors, the U.S., not ambassadors, but the U.S. representatives, after those engagements and those corrections, they still went ahead and kept that notion that, yes, indeed, it is tough for Afrikaners in South Africa. So what does that actually say about transparency, accountability? And now what will it mean for the rest of the Afrikaner community who just saw the first batch go? Are we then going to see more people from the Afrikaner community saying, oh, okay, let me take it up myself? Maybe I just wanted to see them go through the process and give us feedback on how it actually... But honestly, you're going to leave a place where you were free and you were able to do just about whatever to go be a refugee somewhere else because it is so bad in South Africa. Anyway, here are your new news headlines with Onel.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Well, thank you, Tebogo. Now, in your top stories, African countries called to work together and deal with conflict and coups on the continent. And Qatar and Egypt welcome the release of the last living American hostage in Gaza. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Rwandan President Paul Kagame has called on all African countries to work together and deal with conflict and coups on the continent. He says the African Union needs to do more to address the many challenges facing the continent. Speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Kagame says regardless of the challenges, efforts must be made to finding lasting peace.
In terms of peace and security, and you look at the whole continent, you find many trouble spots, all kinds of efforts going on, back and forth, succeeding in some places, not succeeding in others, and continued efforts going on. Again, these are some of the areas, because of the past and how we have handled our own affairs, that we are all of a sudden reminded that we can't do all things by ourselves.
South Africa's International Relations and Cooperations Minister Ronald Lamola says the Afrikaner group that took a decision to leave for the U.S. do not qualify for a refugee status. The Trump administration made a decision to grant white Afrikaners who want to leave South Africa refugee status. Addressing the media in Pretoria on the country's preparedness on the main G20 summit in November, Lamola says all citizens in the country are treated equally.
From the perspective of the South African government, in terms of the executive orders that have defined the refugees, the South Africans as refugees, we have stated in the statement we issued on Friday that in line with the international definition, they do not qualify for that status, and there is no persecution of white African or South Africans in South Africa. This has been proven by a number of statistics in our country, including the police reports.
At least 130 civilians have been killed by Burkina Faso government forces and allied militia in March alone near the western town of Solenzo. Ahead of the News Human Rights Watch report today, there were reports of more militant attacks over the weekend, with dozens of military and civilian casualties. About 40% of Burkina Faso is under the control of groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State, operating in West Africa's Sahel region. The attacks, in which thousands of people have been killed and millions displaced, have continued despite promises by the country's military leaders to deal with the insurgency. The HRW previously said the army was implicated in the killings. French Foreign Minister Jean-Noël Barrot says his country will respond to what they call Algeria's unjustified decision to expel 15 French officials as relations between the two countries worsen further. France's ties with its former colony have long been complicated, but took a turn for the worse last year when President Emmanuel Macron angered Algeria by backing Morocco's position over the disputed Western Sahara region. France, in mid-April, recalled its ambassador to Algiers for consultation and expelled 12 agents serving in the Algerian consular and diplomatic network in France after Algiers had expelled 12 French diplomatic staff. And lastly, Qatar and Egypt have welcomed the announcement by Hamas that they'll release the last living American hostage in Gaza, 21-year-old Eden Alexander. The dual Israeli-American citizen has been held by the militant group for nearly 600 days. The BBC's Yolanda Nell.
The announcement of the first hostage release since Israel shattered a ceasefire in March comes just ahead of President Trump's visit to the Middle East. It follows reports of direct talks between US officials and Hamas and shows a willingness on the part of Israel's closest ally to push ahead with ceasefire negotiations. Hamas has previously refused to free more captives without Israel first committing to a path to end the 19-month-long war, a condition that the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has repeatedly rejected.
And recapping on your top stories, Rwandan President Paul Kagame has called on all African countries to work together and deal with conflict and coups on the continent. Kagame was speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Ivory Coast. Channel Africa News, I'm Onele Nzinzi.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
It's the final hour of The Upside. Thank you so much for tuning in to The Upside on Channel Africa this afternoon, this lovely Monday afternoon. We're about to wrap things up, and I know you are also about to wrap things up. Maybe you are in your final hour of work, or maybe you're already stuck in traffic. Is there traffic at 3 p.m.? I doubt. Well, in some places. Yeah. In Johannesburg, some places at 3 p.m. Quite a bit of traffic.
Some places on the continent.
On the continent?
Yeah.
Have you seen the traffic in Congo?
Have you seen the
DRC?
Traffic in Egypt?
Oh, no, I haven't.
Have you seen the traffic in Nigeria?
Nigeria. Oh, my goodness me. Anyway.
Have you seen the...
We're going to keep you company, all right, if you are in traffic, all the way to 4 p.m. Central African time. We are streaming live from the Auckland Park Studios in Johannesburg, South Africa, and you can stream in on our social media platforms and see our lovely studios and our lovely faces at Channel Africa 1 on X, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and at Channel Africa on Facebook. Use the hashtag #TheUpside. In this hour, we'll be empowering young people.
Yeah.
Fourth industrial revolution is upon us, and we need to have young people who have mastered coding, robotics, right? And so we've got AI. I was showing you how AI, ChatGPT, created a thumbnail for me.
Incredible.
Dude.
It's incredible.
Wow.
You know, I was on YouTube and I saw an advert. These people are offering individuals over the age of 40 courses on how to use AI. Because they're saying you're barely scratching the surface using ChatGPT. ChatGPT
Barely.
QI plus. That's where I wanted to go with this.
I don't know it identifies in different ways. That's interesting. Okay. All right. It's 9 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. But it's good that the elders are also being exposed to...
But they must,
right?
because ChatGPT is doing nothing. You know, you can...
Barely scratching the surface, yeah.
Barely. You can start businesses there. You can innovate, start your own app. Actually, like, put together your own app for whatever idea you have. So I thought it was such a brilliant initiative because... At a certain age, people stop growing and exposing themselves to the new innovations and technologies, right? So I'm glad that young people are doing this, but there's such a big market for those who are older as well.
There was a movie that I watched. I just forgot the name of the movie.
Yeah.
This elderly gentleman was working in the police squad, in the police force, and then he did something so bad they had to remove him from being on the ground and carrying a gun. They put him in an office now and said, listen, you're going to now be in a department where you work with technology, AI, laptops, and so on and so forth. Right, and he struggled initially because it's like, I'm a year away from retiring. I don't have time to be learning new skills and so on and so forth. Did he not then become the chief investigator, chasing down a young man who was running a site where a black market site where you could sell just about any drug? Drug, which was illegal. It's illegal to sell drugs and distribute them and so on and so forth for that particular area in America. And he was running this site, dark market or black market. What is it called?
It is the dark web.
Dark web. He was running this site, and this elderly gentleman, very new to technology, he spearheaded this investigation and he caught this young man. So it's never too late. You can learn how to
and
master.
The importance of innovating as well, staying abreast with the new advancements in technologies. It's 11 minutes after 3 Central African time. We'll be back.
Mix Vibration sur Channel Africa.
Nous allons accueillir sur ces plateaux de Mix Vibration un artiste pas comme les autres. Il est exceptionnel. Il se classe résolument dans la trajectoire des artistes qui défendent le patrimoine du folklore africain, mais aussi de la rumba. Ici, Jérémy Tchani.
En tout cas, je vous dis merci à la Channel Africa, à tout le monde qui nous suit. Dans la vie, si tu veux aller loin, il faut comprendre les temps. Il y a ceux-là qui étaient dans leur temps, mais à cause d'une mauvaise conduite, à cause des gens
qu'il accompagnait à cause de sa famille, à cause beaucoup de choses, son temps passé.
Voilà, donc il faut toujours gérer le temps. Chaque chose a son temps, dit-on. Et la couronne ne dure pas éternellement, dit-on. Donc il faut toujours gérer le temps que Dieu vous a donné sur la terre. C'est le message que Jérémy Tchani nous amène aujourd'hui sur Mix Vibration à Channel Africa.
Mix Vibration, tous les dimanches de 18h à 19h, temps universel.
The Morning Switch Weekend with the Shy Guy.
Just the other day, I went to pick up my daughter from school, and as per usual, her friends they usually come to my car just to say hellos and goodbyes. So this particular day, they made this comment about my jacket, saying that it's giving baddie vibes. You say my jacket is giving what?
It's giving
Baddie vibes. It got me thinking, where did the baddies come from? Because nothing is new under the sun, as it is said. I was like, oh yes, remember the Kenyan parliamentarian? Her name is Millie Odhiambo.
When you are urging me to be a good example to the girls, the younger ones who are doing their first term, Mr. Speaker, if they are good girls, they'll never get corner office. Be as bad as Millie Odhiambo, you will be the mother of this house. So do not be cheated like the African culture, where you are told have decorum, be nice. I'm telling you, you will go nowhere. Be a bad girl like me.
And I thought to myself, that is the original Betty.
Saturday and Sunday mornings belong to the Morning Switch. 3 to 6 a.m. Central African Time. Broadcasting in 5 different languages, connecting the continent. This is Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Save myself, but see outside the road. Guilty pleasures I take part in those. Disconnect the internet, down. Feeling intellectual, and I can't tell you're feeling the pressure, and I can't tell you're feeling the tension. You move your legs like this and that, you can't drive away depression. I can't tell your skill is precious, you can't change the whole direction. Move your legs like this and that, you can't drive away the pressure. Go my ways, go my ways, go my ways. I like I see they go, baby, I like I see they go. Go my ways, go my ways, go my ways. I like I see they go, baby, I like I see they go.
Make your body come, my body make I cool my tension. I'ma give me a love feel like your body, they call my attention. Big ways, 5 days, I no go lie for you, I don't place for you. I'ma get a dog place for you. Follow me, make we chop life for Dubai. Anything you want, girl, I go buy. You they put me for high tension. This one, I'm my confession. We go do holiday for Mumbai. Anything you want, girl, I go buy. You they put me for high tension. This one, I'm my confession. You got me like high up in that car. I wanna love you for life. I don't go like to say goodbye. Nowadays my disease, when the tension's way too high. You know the buttons to press to ease up my stress. I cannot compare you. I don't think
More than just a broadcaster, Channel Africa is the pulse of the continent. African-led, African-run, and deeply rooted in its heritage. It's the only international station that speaks to Africa in its own voices. English, Kiswahili, Chinyanja, French, and Portuguese. The languages that unite 1 billion people. We have been there through every shift, every milestone, and every triumph. Not just reporting history, but shaping the conversations that define Africa's future. For brands, media planning, and advertising.
It is 16 minutes after 3 Central African Time. Davido with Kante featuring Fave. Something that is our fave here is all things, all conversations, educational. especially where young people are concerned.
Absolutely. We were talking earlier about how it's never too late to learn about technology, to be exposed to it, and then to master it as well. Well, in a world racing into the fourth industrial revolution, the question is no longer if young people need tech skills. It's who's making sure they get them. Do you think, the schooling system, do you think there's enough introduction of robotics and AI, industrial revolution? Are we seeing more of that in the classrooms now than we did in, let's say, 5 years ago?
In private schools, yes.
In private schools?
Private schools, absolutely. Not enough in public schools. Certainly nothing in what are they called? Rural areas.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. So what does that mean?
And it's sad that you say it like that, because not so long ago I was reading up about two young boys from Limpopo who created an app through their own coding. They studied self-taught, YouTube, all these things. They created an app where you can access learning material and different sources of textbooks and books and so on and so forth, just so that you can, have access to information.
So what's interesting about that is I'm interested to know access to internet for them that enable them to learn these things, right? And then also access to internet for their target market. Are those people who are going to be able to access the internet in order to gain access and entry to those study materials?
One of the things that they were requesting is that they need support, they need financial aid, and they need infrastructure, because they've now grown to a point where they can't maintain it. But very interesting.
A wonderful initiative nonetheless.
Wonderful initiative. And like I said, when we're talking about tech skills and fourth industrial, it's about who's making sure that they get this information in the schools, and also elders as well. Enter Tsulufelo Nawalaza, the powerful house or powerful brand behind Seda Communication and Tasty Express. From robotics labs to real-world innovation, she's not just teaching the next generation how to code, she's showing them how to lead, build and thrive in a digital economy. Whether it's tech education or tech-driven entrepreneurship, Tsulufelo is bridging the gap between classroom and career, one innovation at a time. Tsulufelo, thank you so much for your time and welcome to The Upside.
Hello, thank you so much for having me. It's a wonderful opportunity. How are you?
We are excited to be chatting with you, and we'll unpack your story and your journey and your offering in a few seconds' time. It's 20 minutes after 3 p.m. Central African time. This is The Upside, and we are about to upskill you.
Are you fluent in French, Chinyanja, Portuguese, and Kiswahili? Are you passionate about radio? And are you looking to work in South Africa? Do you have papers that qualify you to work in South Africa? In that case, we might have an opportunity for you to work for Channel Africa. Send us your CV and demo at newsroom@channelafrica.co.za. Remember, if you don't hear from us within 14 days, it means you have not made it or you have not been selected. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Connecting Africa to the world. The Upside. Your daily dose of inspiration, innovation, and untold stories from across Africa. With Nompumelelo and Tebogo.
Innovation and untold stories, what we're unpacking this afternoon with Tsulufelo Nawalaza, who is the powerhouse behind Seda Communication and Tasty Express. Tsulufelo, thank you so much for your time again. Let's talk not just, we'll get into your passion for teaching the next generation about robotics, coding, but how did you get into this space yourself?
I think it started when it was a childhood dream of mine when I was so young, and I would, at the time, IT was the most popular career around. And then I remember there was a time when MTN Science Center was opening in Cape Town, and then I was selected as one of the learners to go there. And having been exposed to that center, I just realized that I need to build something here in the Northern Cape that's similar to that. And over and above that, I saw how technology can change lives, and it's a dream of mine to see that impact grow beyond myself, but through the people that I interact with and the community that I come from.
And let's talk about, being a girl, Tsulofelo, how easy or difficult it was for you to be in this space. Because what we do know from the technology space is that it's mainly dominated and driven by boys, right, and men. How has the experience been for you as a woman?
It's been really difficult because, first of all, even from varsity, in class, there was only 3 women or girls at the time. So now coming back to the Northern Cape, there were nothing, like no vacancies in the tech space. I had to now go back to Joburg and do my internship. And I felt like we're missing out on a train that's just in motion, and we need to catch up. So then I decided that after working in the mining industry, I felt like, let me start data communications to show people that it's possible and to have a story to tell, because oftentimes stories are the things that make people notice, are the things that make people be aware. So it's never been easy, because you get into partnership with men, and you get into a boardroom, you have to retaliate whatever you're saying a lot more than they have to. They only have to say something once, and then people trust what they say. But as a woman, people feel like you're not sure. You constantly have to be assertive. You constantly have to be confident. So it's not an easy thing, but I'm doing it, and I have learners, mostly girls, that are also proving that it's possible for themselves. Because in one of the programs that we do, there was a girl child who designed a website for bullying, and it went through to the second round in the ESCOM Science Expo.
That's incredible.
So, yeah, such stories show me that at least we are also getting into the opportunities that are out there for us as people that are coming from underserved communities.
Let's talk about the offering, as said, communication. I hope I'm saying it properly.
Yeah.
So tell us your offering. What classes do you offer? Is it just robotics, or is it just coding? What are you offering the learners?
So our learners from grade 4 up until grade 11, we teach them coding and robotics. And then we also tutor them maths and science, and we help with English because literacy. So what we do is that if a learner is interested in getting into the coding class, but their math skill is lacking, that's when we put them through the tutoring class. After they've completed the tutoring, then they move into the robotics and coding. So with the robotics and coding, we use Scratch for the kids. And then for the robotics, sometimes because we lack the resources at this stage, sometimes we just cut out boxes and then we just use an Arduino board and we put the code in there, and then everything works out fine. And then we do exhibitions for the parents to come and see the work that the kids have produced.
And what has been the reaction from community members? I mean, from, the parents and greater community?
So people are excited. It's just a matter of sometimes the parents are reluctant to have the kids have those tablets at home, so we keep them with us. And then after class, when the class starts, we give them the tablets, and then they use it there under our supervision, because the parents are a bit reluctant with them having the tablets at home because they feel like they might be exposed to certain things because technology is really, social media is really not that safe for kids. So they're very excited because currently we have 60 learners that we are on our program, and we're looking for more. But however, because of the lack of resources, we can't actually do more.
Tell us a bit about Tasty Express. I understand it's an extension of your vision at Seda Communication. What does it offer?
So Tasty Express is a food delivery service. It's a local delivery platform connecting residents of Tantabani, Postmasburg, with services like food and medicine and adult beverages. So currently we are in talks with ShopRite for a partnership because ShopRite has now started 360. So we are looking into having a partnership with them. So Tasty Express initially was a low margin company, but I did it just to show people how technology can change your lives, also to provide sort of a high side hustle for unemployed youth. We had 4 drivers and 2 administrators, and currently we're going to be having 8 drivers, and with the partnership with ShopRite, it might even go above and beyond that.
Tsolofelo, this is fantastic work that you are doing. If youngsters are listening out there and want to have contact with you, how do they go about it?
So they can contact us through our social media pages. On Facebook, it's Seda Communications, and on LinkedIn, it's Tsolofelo Ngubeni, and my number is 079 148 6629. Also, they can just easily Google me because I just recently won the 702 MTN Business Award.
Congratulations.
Thank you. So it's easy to find me or my company. Yeah.
Just Google me. Did you hear that?
Yes, just Google me.
I love it. Tsolofelo, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for equipping and inspiring the next generation. You yourself are doing an amazing job, and we can't wait to see those partnerships come into fruition, and we wish you nothing but the best for your future. Thank you so much for your time this afternoon.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
The voice, ladies and gentlemen, of Tsolofelo Ngubeni. She is the head honcho of Seda Communications and Tasty Express, using coding and AI technology to not just equip the people and the youngsters in her community, but also to create value. That Tasty Express idea, brilliant. It's like that food delivery that we experience, that we have here in Joburg, the Ubers, the what. That's amazing. That's going to be a game changer, especially for the rural communities. Eh? Big time.
Job creation, you just think about all the spin-offs that can come out of that.
Absolutely.
30 minutes after 3 Central African Time. Musabudi Makura standing by.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you so much, Nompumelelo. Let's start your sports news with this story. So Naomi Osaka was eliminated from the Italian Open after being beaten by Peyton Stearns 6-4, 3-6 and 7-6 as the struggles for form at the top level continue. In the quarterfinals, Stearns will face off with Danielle Collins of the USA. Now, she knocked out the reigning champion Iga Swiatek over the weekend. Or she'll face off with Elina Svitolina after coming through an attritional match that lasted about 2 hours and 43 minutes on a baking center court. Osaka is another big name that American Stearns has beaten in Rome after also knocking out fifth seed Madison Keys in the previous round. Former world number 1 Osaka has looked a long way from the player who won 4 Grand Slam titles since returning last year from a 15-month break from tennis for the birth of her daughter. Now, her comeback was also hampered by an abdominal injury that forced her out of the Australian Open, which there was also early exits from the likes of Indian Wells as well as Madrid, highlighted just how far she is from her best. Meanwhile, Italy will get their title defense of the Billie Jean King Cup underway with a quarterfinal match against the host China in September, following the draw in Shenzhen earlier on today. If they win that one, Yasmin Paolini's team, who won their 5th title in the women's team event just last year by defeating Slovakia in the final in Malaga, will face the Ukraine or Spain in the semi-finals. On the other side of the draw, the quarterfinals will pit the USA against Kazakhstan and Japan against Great Britain. Shenzhen is hosting the finals, which has also been brought forward from November for the first time and will also do so until at least 2027. The event has also been reduced from 12 teams to 8, aligning with the Men's Davis Cup finals. Now, the Billie Jean King Cup finals will get underway on the 16th of September, with the final to be played on the 21st of September. Back home now, Orlando Pirates Football Club can confirm that the head coach Jose Ribeiro will be on the bench for the final time when the team host Golden Arrows on Tuesday evening in the Betway Premiership. Now, the club has granted coach Ribeiro an early release from his contract, which was originally set to run until the end of June 2025. In a statement released by the club earlier on today, the club chairperson Dr. Ivan Khoza confirmed Ribeiro had approached the management of the team a few weeks ago with a request to be released from his contract ahead of schedule, having signed with a new club. Now, Coach Ribeiro leaves behind a great legacy of excellence, having written his name in the history books of the club with a remarkable coaching record as well as a string of silverware. A few media reports are now linking the Spaniard with Egyptian giants Al Ahly, who recently fired their coach Marcel Koller after failing to qualify the team to the final of the Cath Champions League. Well, something to look forward to today is the quarterfinals of the Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations tournament. South Africa will be in action later on today against the Democratic Republic of Congo, looking to qualify for the semi-finals. But more on the line is a place in the World Cup later on this year in Chile. South Africa, of course, looking to qualify for the World Cup. The coach of the side, Raymond Mdaga, saying qualifying for the World Cup in Chile has always been their primary target.
It's the most important game because every country that came here might be thinking of or might have thought of other results, but the core business is to qualify for the World Cup. So to us, it becomes the final before the final, and this is the main one, honestly.
And finally, FIFA has announced that the Women's World Cup will be expanded from 32 to 48 teams as from the 2031 tournament. Now, the FIFA Council voted unanimously for the changes that will be in place for the 2035 edition, due to be hosted in the United Kingdom. As a result of the increase in teams, the competition will also adopt a 12-group format with an additional 40 matches, up from 64 to 104 matches, that will then extend the tournament by at least a week. Now, FIFA President Gianni Infantino said the changes would give more nations to have the chance to benefit from the tournament to develop their women's football structures. And that concludes your sports news this hour. I'm back with a final sports update for the afternoon in the next hour. For any sports stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us. The newsroom line is +27 11714 4459. For Channel Africa Sport, I am Musibudi Makura.
Sports on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Africa, meet Abedi.
Yeah, that's me.
Abedi is a music lover through and through.
I really love African music.
He's got a taste for all kinds of tunes and spends his days listening to Channel Africa. Guess what? He didn't know.
Okay.
Channel Africa wants to help Abedi and all music lovers everywhere to discover even more incredible music. That is why Channel Africa is calling on all African musicians to submit their music. Musicians, remember to give us all your relevant information. Make your submissions at music@channelafrica.co.za. Submissions are your chance to be heard on radio. But sadly, they do not guarantee that you'll be playlisted. All submissions will be carefully reviewed to see if they meet our station's requirement. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Whatever you want to hear about today's talk, you can get it on the upside.
36 minutes past 3 p.m. Central African Time. I tell you what we need to get right now is the latest in business news with Chanduko Likeke.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective.
Thank you, Tebogo and Nompumelelo. Good afternoon. The World Bank says Nigeria's economy recorded its fastest growth in about a decade in 2024, driven by a strong fourth quarter and an improved fiscal position. During a presentation in the capital Abuja, the World Bank's lead economist for Nigeria, Alex Senat, said the economy grew by 4.6% year-on-year in the fourth quarter of 2024 and pointed to continued expansion in early 2025 based on high-frequency business indicators. The World Bank also warned that persistently high inflation remains a challenge. Bold reforms implemented by President Bola Tinubu, including adding costly petrol subsidies, slashing electricity allowances, and twice devaluing the naira currency, have added to upward pressure on prices. Sierra Leone's largest diamond producer, Kodu Limited, has halted operations and laid off nearly its entire local workforce of more than 1,000 employees following a protracted dispute over pay and working conditions. Workers at the mine went on strike in December 2024 but suspended their walkout to allow negotiations. They then walked out again in early March. President of the Kodu Limited Workers Union, Charles Kenesi, says that workers had only been receiving 30% of the value of their salaries because they were pegged to the US dollar but paid in the local currency, and the company was using an exchange rate from 2016. South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa has urged the private sector to engage with the African Continental Free Trade Area. The trade agreement aims to accelerate trade across the continent and strengthen its position in the global market. Speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Ramaphosa says that this partnership will allow for significant progress.
It is an engine of growth. And through it, we'd like the private sector to embrace it, to participate in it, because what it does, it gives the African continent an opportunity to integrate. And it gives business people the opportunity to see the 1.4 billion people market on our continent and a GDP of the entire continent adding up to $3.4 trillion.
The Gauteng provincial government in South Africa has revealed that it underspent by $97 million at the end of the 2024-25 financial year. The provincial government says 58% of the underspending came from the health and education provincial departments, while 42% was attributed to other various departments. Finance MEC Lebogang Maile explained that of the $97 million underspent, a total of $20 million was from conditional grants from the national government. He was addressing a media briefing in Johannesburg.
Of the 381.510 million in conditional grant underspending, a total of 295.665 million was the subject of an application to the National Treasury, while the relevant departments could not motivate and provide evidence for the balance of 85.845 million, which will revert to National Revenue Fund.
The US and China have sought to end their trade war by agreeing to slash the tariffs they imposed on each other's goods. Both sides have agreed to cut import duties by 115 percentage points. The BBC's Morgan Folks has the details.
The world's two biggest economies, the US and China, have been on a collision course, ramping up reciprocal tariffs to over 100%, unsustainable levels that threaten the global economy. The tariffs are back down to 10%, but the US Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent also made it clear that Washington would continue with what he called a strategic rebalancing of global trade.
$1 in Nigeria is trading at 1,000 naira 606. In Botswana, 13 pula 46. Kenya, the dollar is at 128 shillings 707. Zambia, 27 kwacha 3. BRICS countries, $1 in Brazil is at 5 real 64. Russia, 82 rubles 49. India, 85 rupee 38. China, 7 yuan 22. South Africa, $1 is at 18 rand 23. $1 is at 75 pence to the British pound and 88 to the euro. Commodities, gold is at $3,230, platinum at $981 per ounce. The price of Brent crude oil at $66.23 a barrel. That is all for now. For any business stories you'd like to share with us, please send us an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za, or you can call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa Business, I am Chandruko Ligege.
Business news on Channel Africa. The African perspective. Your afternoons just got even better, fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from an African perspective.
It is 43 minutes after 3 Central African time. You are still listening to The Upside with me, Nompumelelo Ngubeni and Tebogo Lekhuleni. We continue with, education, literacy of sorts, and we're speaking to Refilwe Mamogale, the mining game changer who's literally turning things around underground as the founder of Tsogo Math, the only company in South Africa offering underground crew rehabilitation. With over 15 years of mining experience, she's taken the bold leap from shift supervisor to successful entrepreneur, growing her business from zero income in 2022 to 5 million rand turnover just last year. Just in 2 years.
That's some big numbers you're talking about.
And you must remember that these were COVID times, right? At the latter end of COVID, so the effects were still quite rough. Refilwe is joining us on the line. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, Tebogo, how are you?
It's Nompumelelo and Tebogo is the gent. But we are well. How are you doing?
I'm all right. Thank you so much, Nompu.
Oh, man. Refilwe, tell us about how this idea came to you and really what it entails.
So, like you said, I was a graduate and I started from the bottom of my career as a miner all the way to managerial level. But through the ranks, as a female, you experience a lot of hardship, rejection, and also prejudice, because then it's a male-dominated industry, traditionally. But irrespective, you expected to fail as a woman, and I had to be strong because I was always been given a section that was not working, that was unproductive. So I had to make means and ways for myself to make sure that I get successful in my career by turning those into productive crews. So somehow when you go through the process, it's hard and you even think of giving up. But eventually you have a strategy and ways to do it. So this happened when I was still a shift supervisor, all the way to me being a mine overseer. I will still be given sections that are not working. It got to a level where my...
Refilwe? Oh dear. All right, it seems there is something wrong with the Refilwe's line. We're just going to try and see if we can get her on a better one. But she is talking to us about her business that is now making a turnover of some 5 million rand to nothing in 2020, or from nothing in 2022.
I want to get into what does underground crew rehabilitation, What is that? What does that actually mean?
I think I have an idea, but let's let Refilo.
You've got an idea?
Yeah.
Of what it is? Because it's quite a remarkable story. I mean, from shift supervisor to mining entrepreneur. I'm sorry. Those are some big moves.
But
right
that's
there.
also kind of the product of looking around you, right, in a work environment and seeing the opportunities that could be available to you. So I think we all probably.
That speaks to a very unique mindset, different perspective. It's one of those where we are all in the same boat, but some choose to look at it from a different perspective and see opportunity. Because I don't know how many people go to their workplace and say, what can I improve on, or what can I leverage off? It's more of, I need to do my job, get paid, and then do it again and again and again and again. But she leveraged on this, and she's like, I see a gap here, and I can do something about it. Now she's out here turning over millions. Some impressive numbers right there. Can't wait to unpack that story and how it feels for her to have scaled her business to this level, from where it started, where it was just an idea, I see a gap, to now where she's actually making absolute impact in the industry that she's in, a male-dominated industry.
We are going to get Refilo back on the line just after this.
Join the birthday celebrations this month.
Happy birthday to you.
Still connecting Africa to the world.
Channel Africa, the African perspective.
Parlez-vous couramment le français? Êtes-vous passionné par la radio? Et êtes-vous qualifié pour travailler en Afrique du Sud? Envoyez-nous votre CV et vos 3 minutes démo en MP3 à @channelafrica.co.za pour avoir une chance de rejoindre la famille Channel Africa. Si vous n'avez pas de réponse après 14 jours, cela signifie que vous n'avez pas été retenu. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
Fresh and exciting. The Upside, hooking you up with today's news from the African perspective.
All right, 48 minutes after 3 Central African time, still in conversation with our guest who, Refilo, we were just saying off air that you obviously aren't one of those people who, when you were an employee, who went to work and just did their work and came back home and went to work, and you were looking around you and seeing how things can be improved, how you can bring value outside of just the role that you had. But you were telling us about your journey.
Yes, sorry for the noise of the background. I'm still at the mine as we speak. Sure. But anyways, yes, and really me being moved around, at that point, it was as if it's suffering, but it actually gave me a skill because, after that, I managed to see an opportunity to say, look, through all these years, I've actually earned myself a skill to turn around unproductive crews into productive ones, and this is what makes the business viable in terms of mining, because you want profits. The more you have people underground, you are paying their salaries, material and equipment, and they are not giving you out the targets that you are looking for, the business becomes unprofitable. So that's where I came in, and the inception of Tsohometh came up to say, I can give this, as a service to the mines, because they really need it. There's so many sections that are performing underground, and hence some shafts end up closing down, not because we've depleted the ore or because we lack resources to mine, but simply because we are unproductive, so crew rehabilitation is literally that.
And am I correct in saying that Tsohometh is South Africa's only company that's offering underground crew rehabilitation?
Yes, because it came through that skill that I acquired during my career, But that's not only what we're doing at Tsohometh. With the experience and difficulties that I experienced as a woman, you were limited because, we were excluded in terms of conventional mining, where the equipments are too heavy to handle. They need more power, So one of my biggest drive in the business is innovation, to say, how do I bring innovative solutions that can benefit women, especially now that the influx of women in mining is increasing, how do we now empower them to do the same job that a guy or a male counterpart can do? So through that, we came with equipment such as sweeping tool, pneumatic pinch bar, because you have to bar down, and that steel bar, pinch bar, it was heavy for me to even hold for 2 minutes. So I said, how can I make it easier for women to come and compete in this male dominated world? So I had to be innovative. So that's one of the things that we are busy with at Stormeth.
Speaking about just how male dominated the industry is, how many women are in your team currently?
Well, I'm the CEO, and currently I'm working with 3 women, on the managerial level, and we've got 1 male figure. So we more in empowering women than anything. And we just won an Empower Her finalist in Gauteng. So because of the transformation we are trying to bring to the mining industry.
Oh, congratulations on that. Moving from a zero income to 5 million rand in 2024. That's no small feat, Refilwe. Talk to us about the major turning points that resulted in this massive turnaround.
Yeah, I remember when I was still the only employee, and me having to fire my boss and divorcing my old job, now becoming a Tsohometh CEO. It was a very tough journey because I used all my pension fund, my provident fund, to get into logistic, because it was the business that could generate cash flow at that time quicker than the idea of crew rehabilitation. So I invested all the money into buying a truck, 34 ton, to keep myself going. And the truck got into an accident, which left me in a lot of debts, because even though it was still, at the panel beater, you still have to carry the overheads of paying the driver and insurance. And eventually I had to move out of my luxurious house and move into my garage, turn it into a cottage so that I can rent it out, to make means go, because now I didn't have any income. And I even had to go to use my car as a bolt, and, just for me to be afloat, because you going up and down, you're trying to knock on people's doors. No one knows the brand, who's Tsohometh, where have you done this before? No one wants to look at you. But with an ESD program for women in mining for Sibanye and Pakamani, that's when they started now instilling, entrepreneurial skills in us, like look at marketing. And I remember Amy specifically said, you need to market your brand out there. So we started being alive on social media platforms such as LinkedIn. And eventually we were participating in tenders. So I started hiring people, even though sometimes I couldn't afford to pay them. But I promised them, once the company goes, I will owe you. And really, people are willing to help here and there, until we got a tender, and that just sort of like changed the whole spectrum of the whole business and put the brand on another level. But the exposure really we got from the support from Amy, Pakamani, Sibanye, and you having coaches, that actually advises you, mentors that literally hold your hand and say, look, this is what you need to improve, this is what you need to implement.
I suppose, it's true that sometimes it just takes that one person to believe in you and buy into your idea. Refilwe, it has been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Congratulations, and truly a job well done on your part. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you so much for having me, guys. I really appreciate it.
That is on the line there, Refilwe Mamogale, founder of Tsohometh, bringing us to 6 minutes before 4 Central African time. We're going to make way for Tami Ngubeni, who is on standby to let us know what's coming up on Africa in Business. Did I not just see her walking in? Into the
probably
producer's booth there. All right. I think maybe she just disappeared a little bit.
I remember the first time I saw Tsohometh, right? I thought it's about meth tutoring.
And you would not be wrong to think so.
But turns out she's doing even bigger things in the mining sector, predominantly dominated by men. And she's out here doing the most. And I love it for her because she's empowering women as well. Managerial, she mentioned 3 women and then a guy and 1 man.
Yeah.
Oh, amazing.
Changing the landscape
Amazing. I
of
love
mining. Good afternoon, Tammy.
Hello, Tammy. How are you doing?
I'm very well. Is this deliberate, this color coding between the two
I
of
tell you what, we are in sync. Lately, we've been.
You just at another level.
We've been.
Every time we see each other, we're like, why are we matching?
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
You're in sync. I absolutely love that. Well, it looks like the US and China are also in sync.
Finally. After so many,
So it looks like there's a bit of progress there. An agreement has been reached to temporarily cut the reciprocal tariffs. So as it stands now, the US has cut Chinese imports to 30%. This is from 145%. And the Chinese duties on US imports will fall to 10% from 125%. So it certainly looks like there is a level of sanitary maturity that is emerging
no tariffs
between
would be
this.
ideal, but we'll take this. We'll take this. It's a significant cut.
Look, from where we come from.
Significant cut.
Well, Trump is certainly, let's start high and see where we end up. Let's start ridiculous and see if we can reach a point of normality somewhere. Not good news for Mozambique. They've failed to repay a $53 million debt. This is for the 2024-2025 financial year. And this has been revealed.
Is to who? The IMF?
Basically their external debt that they need to pay off totals $53 million. And this has been reflected in the annual report on the issue of public debt, something that's really quite crippling. So we'll be talking this afternoon to political economist Helio Gilish regarding that and what it is that they plan to do moving forward and how this is actually going to impact the country and their budgeting and then just their fiscal framework. And then also we'll take a look at some of the agricultural trends that are emerging, and ABSA being one of the banks that's really leading on the forefront as far as agricultural trends are concerned, and just the funding of the agricultural sector.
Nice.
So we'll be speaking this afternoon to senior economists at ABSA in the agribusiness section.
Does this mean they're going to add more drones, technologies to agribusiness? I'm seeing a lot of them now.
And it really it does. I mean, technology is always going to be at the forefront of any sort of sector, and agriculture and agribusiness is no exception. So we'll look at the emerging trends regarding that particular sector today.
Exciting, because at some point Nompumelelo wants to own a farm, and I said I'll support her. So we need to listen in on this conversation.
Do you want to start investing? You can start small.
She wants a full-on farm.
Just start, invest in an already existing, farm, and just kind of get the feel of it, get the lay of the land.
That's not a bad one.
It really isn't, and there are actually quite a lot of opportunities within that, especially within the entire Stockfell sector. Maybe go in.
We were just chatting about that.
I mean, it's such a good strategy. Go in with others because it makes the barriers of entry much lower. The risk is much lower. Your financial input is lower. And you also get to cut your teeth in the sector to actually see where exactly you want to focus on.
Wonderful. We really like that. Okay.
So let's form a Stockfell.
Let's do it.
It's going to be called the Upside.
The upside of the Stockfell market. Well, there you have it. It's been absolutely awesome. Thank you very much to the Upside team. It's exactly 4 p.m. Central African time as we head over now to the news desk, where Onele Nzinzi is standing by with your latest news, followed by Misibudi Makura, who has the latest highlights from the business of sport.
SABC News. The African Perspective.
Thank you, Tammy. Looking at your top stories, African countries call to work together and deal with conflicts and coups on the continent. And U.S. Special Envoy Steve Witkoff in Israel ahead of the expected release of an Israeli-American hostage by Hamas. Your latest news. Greetings to our listeners. Rwandan President Paul Kagame has called on all African countries to work together and deal with conflict and coups on the continent. He says the African Union needs to do more to address the many challenges facing the continent. Speaking at the Africa CEO Forum in Abidjan, Ivory Coast, Kagame says regardless of the challenges, efforts must be made to finding lasting peace.
In terms of peace and security, and you look at the whole continent, you find many trouble spots, all kinds of efforts going on, back and forth, succeeding in some places, not succeeding in others, and continued efforts going on. Again, these are some of the areas, because of the past and how we have handled our own affairs, that we are all of a sudden reminded that we can't do all things by ourselves.
A group of 49 Afrikaners is set to arrive at Dallas-Fort Worth International Airport in the United States today. They have become the first beneficiaries of the controversial U.S. refugee program. The Afrikaners, who included families with small children, departed OR Tambo International Airport in Johannesburg yesterday. The Department of International Relations and Cooperation's Department spokesperson Crispin Piri says while everyone has the right to leave the country, they should not do so under false pretense.
If they were refugees, South Africa would be the only country in the world where so-called persecuted persons are judges, ministers. So really, the designation that these individuals are being persecuted on the grounds of race and language is completely unfounded. If individuals want to leave and go to another country, by any means, the Constitution allows you to do so. We have not stood in their way. But what we categorically are clear about is that these are not refugees.
French Foreign Minister Jean-Noel Barrot says his country will respond to what they call Algeria's unjustified decision to expel 15 French officials as relations between the countries worsen further. France's ties with its former colony have long been complicated, but took a turn for the worst last year when President Emmanuel Macron angered Algeria by backing Morocco's position over the disputed Western Sahara region. France in mid-April recalled its ambassador to Algiers for consultations and expelled 12 agents serving in the Algerian consular and diplomatic network in France after Algiers had expelled 12 French diplomatic staff. At least 130 civilians were killed by Burkina Faso government forces and allied militia in March alone near the western town of Solenzo. Ahead of the News Human Rights Watch report today, there were reports of more militant attacks over the weekend, with dozens of military and civilian casualties. About 40% of Burkina Faso is under the control of groups linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State operating in West Africa's Sahel region. The attack, in which